Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the SportFlex podcast. And I'm happily joined by professional baller Matthew Bryan-Amaning, NBA. How are you, bro?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How's lockdown been for you?
A bit of a up and down. Obviously, last year's lockdown, everything shut down, so we wasn't really able to get in gyms, work out, and stuff like that. And then, yeah, it's just been a bit of hit and miss this season. Obviously, wasn't able to do stuff early, then ended up signing with the Lions, so I was able to get back in the gym, as you know, work on your craft and stuff. And then, obviously, things didn't go to plan with them, so parted ways. So I was out for about a month, and then with the situation down at Worcester, everything was going on. Obviously, them not being able to bring in any Americans, and Coach Newby had reached out to a couple of people. Shout out to my guy Jordan Williams. It's like a little brother to me. So he was like, "If you ain't doing anything, like, um, I know it's not long term or anything, but we need some help." So obviously, I was able to help with them. Just obviously everything with COVID times, they weren't able to keep me on long term. So yeah, just tough when you're obviously not with a team to
Yeah,
try and get your reps up and get in practice.
you can imagine that. And how frustrating has it been with like the COVID just locking it down? You can't go out, you can't meet up with your teammates or people, you can't train. How has that been, especially like with family related as well?
Um, yeah, it's tough. A lot of us, especially at the pro level, like basketball's our outlet anyway. Obviously, it's a job as well, but it's something that we've done for the majority of our lives. So we use the sport as an outlet, not only to kind of um, when things are going wrong off court, let's say, in your personal lives, whatever, kind of a getaway. So it's tough sometimes. The guys not have a release. And as we said, like we love to play the game, we love to work on our craft. So just being able to not being able to get in the gym and being able to just chill out, I think it's tough. And obviously, everybody knows like being in the house, like there's only so much you can do.
Oh yeah.
There ain't much options. Yeah, there's not much options you can do. So I'm not a video game player, so I know a lot of guys around the sport have just been on the games and playing online with each other and stuff like that. But like, I'm not a video game player, so Netflix and NBA TV is pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah, it gets like that. Luckily, they had the NBA bubble that it saved
Yeah,
us. Saved all of us.
for sure, for sure.
That was good. So like so take us back, to back when you was young, when you were born, just come out your mother's womb. Tell us how you got involved in basketball and who were your early heroes.
So for me, it's kind of different from a lot of people in the UK. I've got an older brother. Who's 8 years older than me. Not a lot of people know that. They kind of just see me and just think it's just me. But yeah, I've got an older brother who's 8 years older than me, and about the age of 12, he wasn't really in a football like that. So my mom was like looking at different options, and he wanted to play basketball. So she kind of did her research and found out about the Brixton Top Cats program.
Okay.
Obviously, 12, it's a little late, not late, but you know what I mean, it's not as young as you would when you're starting other sports and stuff like that. But she obviously found out about it, took him down, and obviously as a 4 year old, 5 year old, I'm there. And then there happens to be a kids group, like kids, like young kids, and so she kind of just threw me in at the age of like 4 or 5, and then I was just there once a week from them ages. And then obviously as I got older, it became 2 times a week and then 3 times, 4 times, like times we were practicing. And it was weird because back then, obviously it's not the academies that we have now. It's just the club teams, the club systems and playing, National League and Premier One and all of that stuff. So um, we didn't have it as part of our, I guess, school curriculum, I guess, on school teams and stuff like that. So um, us still practicing 3, 4 times a week was kind of rare, I guess, back then. But yeah, that's how I kind of got into it, the Brixton Top Cats program from such a young age, and then um, played my first, I guess, official game when I was 11, under 16s at 11 years old. That's why I wear number 11.
Okay.
And then yeah, it just kind of carried on and continued. Played under 18s from about the age of 13 or 14.
Wow.
Men's basketball, yeah, playing. I think Brixton were in Division 2, so the equivalent of NBL 2, at like 14 and 15. And then by the time I finished my GCSEs, I was able to get a scholarship to go to the States. So it was an interesting story. The assistant coach of UConn, University of Connecticut at the time, came over to see me. I think he had a relationship with Coach RIP, my junior coach, Jimmy Rogers. And was like able to, said he had a couple of kids that he wanted to take a look at. So he brought him over, took a look at me, liked what he had to see. But obviously I'm too young at 15 to be looking at universities and stuff. So they kind of got in touch with a prep school coach in Connecticut, and then ended up going to South Kent Prep School in Connecticut. And I was there for 3 years after my GCSEs. And then obviously I ended up getting State Player of the Year my senior year in Connecticut, and ended up going to the University of Washington.
Well, so how was that transition? Like, you're in the UK, you're school, and then just going straight to America. Like, was you living with a different family, or was you living with your own family out there?
No, I have no family that lives in the States. So I was actually, South Kent was a prep school, so it was boarding school. So we just lived on, it was like basically like university, but South Kent's all boys. So it was just all boys boarding school. But it was none, fam. Mad. Obviously, you go from being like a inner city kid, you know what I mean, going to school in the ends and stuff, and then going to, you know, a rural Connecticut. Like, literally the closest thing to our campus was a gas station, a petrol station. Like, I think it was like 5 miles away, bro. Like, literally, like it's just your campus. Like, that's all you see. It was funny. It's funny that you said like no girls, but you used to have like, there was bordering prep schools, obviously not that close, but within certain vicinities. And we used to have like school dances every week and stuff like that. Yeah, it's the only interaction of females like you would have back then.
Difficult time.
So it was all right living on campus. You know, something different, a little bit more freedom. Obviously, it is structured because it's still high school age, so kids from the age of 14 to 18. So obviously it's structured. You've got each dorm is connected to a house with one of the teachers that lived on it. So there was structure. We had like lights out at certain times and stuff like that, because at the end of the day it was still school. And then basketball wise, it was a bit different. I didn't know what to expect. Obviously I had dominated here from a young age in my own age group. And you just don't know what to expect. Like, everybody's telling you you're going from a big fish in a small pond to being a flipping goldfish in the ocean. Like, you don't know what to expect. But I think I fared well. It surprised me. I didn't know how big South Kent was before I got there in terms of recognition around the country. We ended up being like a top 5 prep school. I had my first year I went to school there. Andre Blackshaw was my teammate, and he was prep school to pro guy, so didn't even go to college. Straight to the league from high school. So we had everybody in the country looking at us. And prep school, one thing people don't realize, you're playing against grown men, so it wasn't that difficult to adjust. I guess because, like I said, I'd played junior level from about 14 upwards, playing under 18s, and then played from 14, 15, I was playing men's basketball. So I was playing against guys older than me already, more athletic than me, more stronger than me, and this, that, and the rest. So when I got to the States, it wasn't even that bad of the transition. It was just obviously guys' talent levels was higher. So I think a lot of them ages there, obviously getting to the States at 16 years old, and you're playing against an 18, 19, 20-year-olds, like, it's more the physicality, the speed, and all that sort of stuff that kind of changes. But I fared well. I went in September, or I went to the States in August. My mum had a family friend, so we stayed with her for a couple of weeks. And then when I got to campus, I think the coach obviously didn't generally recruit me, because at those prep schools you recruit, you know who you want, this and the rest. You're trying to be one of the top schools in the nation, so you recruit. And obviously he didn't genuinely recruit me. He didn't know my game or anything like that, but he was taking it from the word of the assistant coach of UConn. And then he found out I could play. So he was able to, chuck me in the mix, coming off the bench and stuff. But it was just a good thing, I think, that I played with a guy like Andre Blatch, where everybody in the country was able to see, because then that gave me some recognition around the States. And legit, I remember going to this, stepping on campus for the first time in September and coming home 3 months later or something at Christmas and being ranked in the top 30 in the country in my age group in high school. Yeah, so it was good, just adjusting to their system and playing at that level. And a lot of people that know me know, you see me talking smack and whatnot on the court. But that was the American side that brought that out of me. And my coach, Coach Rafael Chilius, was like, it's different. Like, it's not how you've been taught in the UK. Like, it's a dog eat dog world. Like, if someone's barking at you, you better bark back, because they're going to try and, intimidate you. And if they sense any kind of weakness, then they'll eat you alive. And that's kind of where I got my, loucious, boisterous type of game and talking when I'm on the court. But anybody that knows me, like, you meet me off the court, I'm the chilled, most laid back guy.
Yeah, but it's like two different worlds. When you're in games, I'm a different guy. You're an animal.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I think the best example of that is Russell Westbrook. Obviously, I played against him when I was in college,
Really?
when he was at UCLA. Yeah, while he was at UCLA, I was at Washington my freshman year. So he's cool. Like, we're still cool up until this day. Like, I've seen him a few times around the place, here, there, and then at K54 and stuff in France. And we chop it up, talk, catch up and stuff like that. But I think he's the best example of that. Like, his attitude and his demeanor on the court is so overwhelming. Sometimes people assume he's an arse, like, off the court. And when you hear reports back from teammates and stuff like that, you just hear like, nah, he's like one of the best teammates now. Like, he loves his teammates. Like, he looks after us. Like, he's obviously one of the star players, highest paid players. He'll take the team out for dinner. He'll take the team out for whatever. Like, he'll go above and beyond the things that he doesn't have to do, but people just see how he plays and assume something that they don't know is true for him as a person.
Yeah, and just more on Russell Westbrook. From back then when you played with him at college, was he the same talker, chirpy, trash talker, or has he just grown as he's gone to the NBA, do you think?
I think it's grown. Some as he got, I guess, better and more recognition. Because even in college, like, he went fourth, I think, in the draft. But obviously that surprised everybody. He was never a guy that was always ranked high and always this and always that. Like, UCLA was like literally a last minute. He got offered there, and he's from Cali, obviously. Yeah. So he took it. He only did 2 years there, but like, he didn't have outrageous numbers. I think he averaged, like, his last year there, only averaged like 13 points a game or something like that. So for him to go fourth, but obviously he was catching bodies, posters, he was highlight reel while he was there, especially that second year, and stuff like that. So he was, I think it comes with the game. Like, the better you get, the more, I guess, ammunition you have to be able to talk smack and do all of this stuff. And yeah, and like, I think someone like him, he wasn't, like I said, highly ranked coming out of high school and stuff like that. So he wasn't like a big talker, he wasn't a big whatever, but he would still have like crazy plays, highlight plays, be on Sports Center, top 10 and stuff like that. But yeah, as he got obviously into his career and started doing the All-Star stuff, and him and KD and stuff got to the finals, and you know what I mean, his motor started becoming his thing, like people knew him for. I think that's when he kind of started on the talking more and the trash talking and getting in guys' heads and stuff like that. It's funny that you say that, because I was just watching clips about him and John Wall going at it last night. Yeah. So yeah.
Bradley Bush just standing there like, oh gosh.
Yeah, for real.
And I was just going to add on to that. When just before you get into college, what are the main differences you're seeing from playing within the UK at the Top Cats and then your first couple of years at prep school? Are you seeing that, or the standard in America is high and there's more like trash talkers? There's more like you have to be even more to make it there.
Yeah. I think the difference is like growing up here, like I'm competitive in general anyway, but growing up here, it's definitely, thank you for participating. Da, 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 da. Like out there, it's like they're playing for their livelihood. Like literally, when they say like guys are playing sports to get out the hood, like they really are. Like if they don't make it, they know what they're going back to, what kind of world they're going back to. If they want to make any type of money, it might be selling drugs, doing X, Y, and Z. Whereas you're like, yo, you could I could put this ball in this basket and become a millionaire and save, you know what I mean, get my family out of all these situations and doing whatever it may be. So I think it was just more consistency in terms of heart and effort and working on your craft in the States because you're American, I think you're obviously closer to the NBA, so you're closer to the goal. Whereas obviously from here, it's like I said, like it's like everybody gets participation medals and everybody wants, like, you know what I mean, thank you for, you know what I mean, blah blah blah. But like I think that's part of the thing in London, I guess, which is a bit different because everybody, like they say that London basketball is definitely a different brand from the rest of the UK when it comes to it. But I think it's also part of obviously our urban lifestyles different from the rest of the UK. So like we do play with a little bit more edge to our game and a little bit more hunger. And obviously it comes with it, you know, basketball, a little bit more flair and stuff like that. But I think being from London is the best, I guess, equivalent to, or coming from London was the best equivalent of being able to go to America and make some type of impact. I think it's close and similar lifestyles and upbringings and stuff like that. So it kind of helps the hunger and you kind of know what you want to do and why you're doing it.
Oh, well, that's good. Also, I've got a question that how did you like convince your parents to go to America? Because if I said to my mom, oh, at 15, 16, oh, can I go to America and be a pro baller? I was like, oh, no, stay in school. You're going to be a doctor, a lawyer. Like, how was that? How did that conversation pan out?
So you want to hear something funny? It's funny that you said that, like you said it at 16, you was able to do it. The first time I told my mom that I wanted to go to America, I was 8 years old.
8?
8 years old. She tells me that. She always tells that story. She was like, at 8 years old, you said, when I'm old enough, I'm going to America. Like, it wasn't like I was asking her, I was letting her know, like, I'm going to America to play basketball, innit?
Find that seed.
Like, straight up at 8. And it's crazy because I got a 9-year-old now. I couldn't imagine him telling me, like, I'm going to America to like, you know what I mean? So it's crazy to think at that age, like, I was so on it and knew what I wanted, to the point where I was telling her already. But I think it was easier for my parents because of the culture that we was around. The Brooks and Top Cats program had guys doing it. So obviously when I'm that young, 8, 9, 10, they've got guys like Aju Dang and Ugonna. These guys are names that have obviously gone to the States and are in the States and doing their thing. And it was kind of like the norm, I guess. So like where everybody else looked at it and it was weird or this, that, and the rest. To me, it was the norm. It was like you get to a certain age, you're good enough, you go. Like you don't, like there's no hanging about. Like the later you go, the harder it is going to be for you. So it's the earlier you can go, the better. And like, because like I said, these guys, and then as I got older, obviously 11, 12, 13, 14, because I think a while left when I was about 11. And then you got guys like Laken Popula, Jaflo Larkai, Rashid Quadri, Sean Gray, like all these guys that have gone to the States as I've gotten older as well. So my parents are seeing it, or my mum's seeing it. More importantly, my dad was just like, if he wants to play basketball, we play basketball in it. My mum was more obviously the educational side and like making sure you all right, this, that, and the rest. Even like making my decision to go to Washington, she found out it was like the second ranked school in the Pac-10 academically behind Stanford. She was like, yeah, fine, go ahead. Like, I don't know the basketball side, so you and your coach and whatever can talk about all that stuff and what right fits, but she was just checking up on that academic side, and that's fine. So yeah, but yeah, just in terms of the culture that I was in, it was, regardless if it was how they went, if it was going to go to a camp to get seen, or, you know, sending in their own footage and doing X, Y, and Z, like there was different ways, but they knew like between 16 and 18, I was out. Like no ifs, ands, or qualms about it. I was gone. And that's kind of how it was for me.
So how speak about like the financial things behind it. Are you funding this by yourself, or are you getting like a loan or grant from the government?
Oh no, I don't get anything. It wasn't. I didn't have to pay for anything. Anything we had to pay for was flights. It was a full scholarship. So,
Mhm.
um, when you're on a prep school like that, it's basically like college. So it's like a scholarship.
Yeah.
So they pay for your boarding, they pay for your obviously food, meals, they pay for your education, all of that sorted. So I think the only thing that we paid for was literally my flight over and flight home,
Ah,
and
quality.
that was about it. Yeah, yeah. My parents or my mum and my brother came. I think we went to New Jersey the first time we went out there because my mum, like I said, had a family friend that lived in Jersey, so we stayed out there for 2 weeks. It's the first time I've ever been to America as well.
Oh wow.
Um, it was funny when you say it. When I think about it, I'm like, yeah, the first time I went to America, I was like, I ain't coming back for until I like obviously come back in terms of holidays, but like now England is a holiday versus I'm living in America. Um, so like yeah, the first time I went was like I'm going to school and I'm moving out there and I'll be back whenever I'm done in it. Hopefully, obviously at the end of the day, I'm thinking I'm trying to play in the NBA, so it's like I'm never coming back to live in England.
Mm.
But yeah, at least for the unforeseeable future, the next 3 years I'm in prep school, next 4 years I'm in college. Like I ain't coming back to live in England. So yeah, it's crazy when you think about it.
Did you find it easy to settle in being a British person coming to America? Are they cussing you for your British accent, or is it like, he's one of us? He's a brother.
Um, no, it's a little bit different. But that's the thing about prep school. You have a lot of international students because obviously it's boarding school. So obviously they have a lot of kids from all over the states. And then like there was a lot of Asians, like South Koreans, a couple Japanese, a couple Chinese, and then I don't think there was many Asians in terms of like Indian Asians. But then we recruited internationally anyway, like coach recruited internationally anyway. So I remember that first year, I wasn't the only international player. We also had a kid called Papadia, a friend of mine, Senegalese, like straight from Senegal, couldn't speak. I remember actually the funniest thing, I end up coming to South Kent and meeting him, and I'd met him and played in a tournament against him maybe 3 years before prior.
Really?
Myself and Dan Clark was at like the Adidas International like camp. I think we were like 15 maybe or something like 14 or 15.
Mm.
Um, and he couldn't speak a lick. When I mean a lick of English, like he's straight from Senegal, French only. So,
Yeah.
but he was like around my height, had long arms, crazy long arms, used to block everything. And it's just funny because like he could barely speak any English, but he was a funny guy, like his mannerisms and stuff like that. And then when he did try to speak some type of English, like the stuff he would say would just be nonsense. So like me and Dan Clark used to joke about it and laugh about it,
Mm.
because we was obviously at the camp together. And then 2 years later or something, I end up going to South Kent and he's the same dude. I'm like, fam, I recognize this brother. Like I swear that's. And then obviously as the years got by, his English got better and stuff like that. So he was able to talk about stuff and whatnot. But yeah, he was there. I had a 7 footer called Filip Tontinic
Seven footer.
from Croatia. Oh yeah. Our team was like at prep school. Like we had every year was like an NBA
Player.
type team. Like I'm trying to think who else. We had a couple others, but yeah. Boarding schools and prep schools usually have a lot of international students, just because obviously it's living on campus and you have somewhere to stay and whatnot. It's easier for international students to obviously get their education and obviously play the sport that they love.
Just a final question on prep school. Like, how was the education side? Did they enforce it on you, or was you like, I'm just here to play ball and then go to college and play more ball?
um, the it's sad to say, and it's not going to even be what you think it's going to be because everybody think, oh, you didn't do nothing in this and this. No, no. Like we had school and like we had to go to class and we had to get a certain type of grade. If you didn't get a certain grade point average, like you couldn't play.
Coach
But
Carter vibes.
the no, yeah, but the school system when you're in high school is different to the school system in the UK, and it made it so much easier. So like
Really?
those 3 years, I was like walking, like I could do that shit in my sleep, eyes closed. Like I could literally, if I wanted to, not go to class and pass every exam. And it wasn't a thing that they were, it was like they're stupid or anything like that. It's just they break things down different. So like we do maths, say year 7 to year 11, but we do everything. You understand what I mean? Like we break it up, but they break it up into classes throughout the years. So like, say
so you
one
get to pick.
semester we're doing, well, it's not even just you get to pick, but it's just like we'll be doing geometry. So it's all about shape, sizes, this, that, and the rest. You know what I mean? X plus Y equals Z, like all that sort of stuff. But I've learned all of that prior, obviously, as a whole over the 4 years I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
So now they've broken it up into little sections, and you might do geometry one section, then do trigonometry, then do, yeah, you know what I mean? Whatever it may be. But they break it up so that you're going over a specific subject for a long period of time. And I'm like, yeah, I've done all of this before, like legit. Like my coach used to say, he was like, you're literally sleepwalking through class, like, why, what's going on? And I'm just like, no, it's easy. Like I've done all of this. Like I did this like literally 2 years ago. Like I remember it, as long as you remember it. And that's what school in general is about. Like they just want you to regurgitate facts. You know what I mean? You don't learn, like it's not where college, or it's not like life skills where it's like, oh yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur, so I need to now start up a business and do this and da 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 and rah, rah, rah. Like it's read this textbook, remember it. By the time you have your exam, remember it. After your exam, forget it, and you're fine. You know what I mean? Like it sounds bad, but it's exactly what it is. And that's kind of what it was for me. So I kind of, unless it was like English, I'm not great at English, but I'm just not. I'm more a numbers type person, so maths and all of that stuff was more me. But English, I obviously had a good enough grade. I was fine. But yeah, even taking the SATs and stuff, I only needed to take it once, got the score I needed, and was done. I know obviously they talk about a lot of kids not being eligible to play or not being eligible for college in the States because of their SATs. But yeah, I only had to take it once, got my grade. I was cool with my GPA. Everything was fine for me.
Sorry if you can hear my fire alarm going off in the background. It's my mom cooking.
Oh yeah, no.
I just want to say, so you're coming to the end of your time at prep school now, just starting to pick universities and colleges. What's the process behind picking a college, and how did you decide to pick University of Washington?
For me, it was just a bit. It was simple. It wasn't as hard as people think it is. Obviously, you're getting wild, and well, everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. Obviously, as I said, my mum was more so checking on the schools that I was looking at academically. As far as it goes, I actually committed early. I committed the end of my junior year, so I kind of got it out the way. It was a thing where I wanted to be a part of a winning program. When I did commit, they were back to back Sweet 16s with Brandon Roy, Nate Robinson, and all of those guys. Yeah, with all those guys. The year, so I committed the end of my junior year. So the class before me, they had some good top 100 players in Quincy Pondexter, Spencer Hawes, and stuff like that. Going in, so I'd have been in my senior year of high school, and they would have been a freshman at Washington. So I was like, okay, so they should kind of uphold what they've been doing, because I wanted to be able to compete at the top level. Like if I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, I want to be at the bottom of the Pac-10 or at the bottom of the ACC or bottom of the Big East. I wanted to be somewhere. Like one thing I believed was like, if you win, you're gonna be on, like, whether it be TV or you're gonna get exposure, you're gonna get whatever. So I just wanted to be a part of a winning program and obviously be able to play, but it wasn't. I knew in my mind, I knew I could play at that level. I believed, obviously, me being ranked, as I said, by the end of my senior year, I think I was top 40 or whatever. I knew I'd be able to play at that level. It was just more so being in a situation where it was going to be good for me. And that's kind of where it went for me. I was just able to break it down in terms of their style of play. Washington was a very up-tempo team. We played like that in high school. My team was very athletic. As I said, only thing different was my actual high school team was bigger in terms of height and whatever than my college team. We started my senior year, my high school, we started Isaiah Thomas at the point guard. Obviously, he's a little bit 5'8" or whatever, 5'9". But outside of him, we started another guard actually. who was in and out of the starting lineup, but who ended up going to Xavier and transferring to Arizona. And then I started actually at the 3 in high school, and then we had the 4 and the 5, and one was, like I said, 6'10", another was like 6'8". So like we was very big, and then we had like 7 foot, 6'10" coming off the bench. We had like a 6'8" two guards. We had a squad.
Yeah, the rim protectors all over the gaff.
All over the place, yeah, like the biggest front line easy in the country.
So you're at Washington University. Are you seeing like you're at college level now? And in America, we all know, even at the UK, we know Americans take college sports seriously. Like arenas are packed out. Like, how was that transitioning from high school to like college is more or less professional when you look at the level they play at? Like, how did that feel?
It was good. It was interesting. But I think because I'd spent 3 years in the States prior, it wasn't a big shock to me because you watch college basketball on TV and whatnot. So it's like I'm just waiting on it. I'm expecting it to be like this. Like it's different if you're coming from the UK and you go to the US for college straight away and you're like, hold up, I'm playing in a sports hall now. I'm playing in a 10,000 seat arena. Like, whereas obviously I'm not saying that we didn't play in like a small gym or whatever it may be in high school, but I played at showcases in front of 5,000, in front of 10,000 in high school. So it wasn't a big shock to me when I got there. The only shock was I just think the level in terms of intensity, and high majors a different animal. Like you can go to mid-major schools and low major schools or whatever, or D2 or whatever it may be, and you can see obviously the similarities, but like going from high school, even it being a top high school or top prep school in the nation, to go into the Pac-10, like you got guys that are ready for the NBA. And that's pretty much how it is. And people don't realize like how good, obviously it doesn't get as much recognition now, but back then how good the Pac-10 was. Like coming out of high school and then going to the Pac-10, like in my league alone, Kevin Love, Darren Collison, obviously Russell Westbrook, was all at UCLA. USC had Devon Jefferson and OJ Mayo. Oregon was stacked. Yeah, Oregon. Arizona was stacked. They had Chase Bardinger, Jordan Hill, Jared Bayless, my last point guard, Nick Wise. Washington State had Derek Lowe, Taylor Rochester, he's still playing EuroLeague now. Aaron Baines, Carl Weaver, who was in the NBA. Yeah, like up and down the league. California had Ryan Anderson. Obviously, I think he just finished playing, or if he's not, he was lost in New Orleans. Even teams as Stanford. Stanford, obviously known as obviously an academic school. Obviously, it's in the Pac-10, but it's not known as a basketball school, but it's just an academic, more caliber, closer to being a Ivy League school. And they had Landry Fields, obviously he played in the NBA and stuff. Yeah. Lawrence Hill, who was right there on the cusp and stuff like that. So like the Pac-10 was loaded back then, and the jump was crazy. I think I felt like I'd done enough in preseason to start, but obviously my coach didn't see that, or maybe he just thought I wasn't ready. So I came off the bench, obviously my freshman year. Didn't play major minutes. I was up and down. I wasn't sure if it was the right place for me, if I was going to stay, if I wanted to transfer, because I felt I'd done enough to start or play more minutes. And the only way you're going to get comfortable or get used to stuff at that level is playing. Yeah. If you're not on the court, then like as much as you may, see guys and practice with guys at that level, like you have to learn how to play through your mistakes so you can minimize the mistakes. And yeah, it was just a tough one. Sophomore year, got into things, had a good preseason, and then literally a week before the season, got an injury. Thought it was going to be more serious.
What injury was it?
Than it actually was. So it was crazy. We're in practice. And so my backstory, my coach is church going, doesn't cuss at us, doesn't whatever. So he's fine. If we cuss in practice, we have to run lines. If we do this, that, and the rest, like this is just how he is. So we're in practice, and I go up for a rebound, and I think somebody tried to box me up, but they didn't realize I'd already jumped. So
Mm.
they went and kind of stuck their butt out, but my leg obviously was in the air. So as I came down, like they pushed my leg out the way by accident, and I fell straight down. But I landed on my hip. Um, so like it's crazy because I remember the report when it came out, like when the team obviously have to announce it or put a story on their page or whatever, and they was like they wasn't sure what the actual injury was because it was such a crazy one. Like I landed straight on my hip, and there was actually a family there. I think a kid, a recruit or a high school kid, his family was there, and I landed, and all I screamed was, "Oh shit!" And obviously everybody was like, Matt, you just said the wrong thing, you know, you're in trouble. But then they realized how bad it was. Like I was out for like close to a month. Um, and then coach even like once I calmed down, was with the physios and stuff like that, coach was like, you're going to be the first and probably the only person to, because of how you landed and how it was, to not get in trouble for cussing in practice. Actually, it was crazy because I actually apologized because obviously you're aware of your surroundings and stuff like that. Like I apologized to the family on my way out, and it was like, no, like don't worry about us. Like we hope you're okay and stuff like that. But you're just so kind of conscious of your surroundings sometimes. But yeah, I had took an injury, which meant I remember it was crazy because we had a preseason game or non-conference. So it counted towards our schedule, but it's not obviously part of the league. But we had a non-conference game, and the first game, I wasn't even 100% that he brought me back was against Kansas, and that's against flipping Cole Aldridge. Obviously, he was in the league. The Morris twins were there at the time. Yeah, Marcus and Markeith. Yeah, it was just a crazy one. I'm just out there on one leg, literally. But obviously, at the end of the day, you're like, at them ages, you don't know any better. You're just like, yo, I'm trying to play. Like, I did all of this. This was my year. I was supposed to come, you know what I mean? Come in, put in work. And then it was coming on. I ended up obviously coming off the bench. And what it was Isaiah had joined the team, Isaiah Thomas. Was there. We had a guy, Justin Detman, who's in and out the NBA and played like EuroLeague and stuff in China. At the 2, we had Quincy Pondexter. At the 3, John Brockman also inside. And the other guy was what everybody kind of predicted going into it after my freshman year and stuff was I would start at the other post spot. But we had a redshirt freshman, a good friend of mine, Darnell Gann, who was very defensive minded. And all the other guys were scorers. So I think once I got injured and coach inserted him into the starting 5, liked the element that he brought to the starters, and was like, Matt, you can score, so we're going to bring you off the bench as a scoring punch. And yeah, so like it was very frustrating. Obviously, at the end of the day, like you're thinking of a multitude of things. Like I want to play in the NBA. I want to get to here. Like how many people get drafted coming off the bench in college. Like you're not getting the minutes that you want. You want to obviously showcase your ability and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think I was ready anyway at that time to be worrying about all that sort of stuff. It was just kind of what would work out and what would fit for me. That was the end. Go on, sir.
Was there ever a point where, see, when you're frustrated, you're not playing, you're not getting what you feel like you deserve? Are you thinking, is this NBA thing even worth it anymore? Like, I've done my...
See, nah, like, for me, never. Like, I know me. Like, everybody will tell you this. Like, Matt doesn't lack in confidence. I'm like, yo, you, like, you messed up. Yeah, I mean, like, you fucked up. Like, sorry, you mind cussing on here? Or,
yeah, it's calm, man. Be free.
Okay, cool.
I ain't gonna make you
so,
run.
Like, I was like, so I was like, nah, like in my mind, I'm like, you fucked up, bro. Like, I got what it takes, bro. You just need to let me rock. If you let me rock, you'll be surprised. Like, I might surprise you, fam. But that's kind of how my mentality. Anybody that knows me knows that's how I've been. And sometimes it's tough, like big men. And obviously, it was a very different change. As I said to you, like I played a lot on the perimeter in high school, and they were sticking me in the post all the time at Washington. And the reason being was, that's where I kind of developed my post game, like the stuff that you see now of me as a professional and what I do and footwork and all of that was all developed at Washington. I was more on the perimeter. in high school and stuff. As I said, we had huge teams and stuff like that, so our coach was fine with it, and I was cool with it because I looked at it in terms of at my height and whatever. You're looking at guys like LeBron, you're looking at guys like Melo, you're looking at guys like KD. Like you're like, all right, cool. Well, I can be a three. That's what I need to be. And then it was like the college that I ended up choosing didn't have anybody like me, my height, my athletic ability, and able to score in general, but they was just like, we don't have anybody that can score inside. So they put me in the post to do what I do, but just obviously working off the block. And then, it's the only thing I felt like when I wasn't getting certain stuff was, did I want to transfer? But I'm being honest with you, I'm lazy. So like, I don't know if it was like a thing where I was just like, oh, I don't want to, have to uproot everything and move to this school and now get comfortable here and this, that, and the rest. To me, it was also a thing where I had seen in previous years that my coach wasn't always like that when it comes to freshmen, sophomores, and whatever. Quincy Pondexter averaged 19 point something points a game as a senior, but his junior year only averaged like 11 point something points a game, and before that less. Brandon Roy, everybody knows, or obviously B Roy was a killer. Like his senior year, he averaged like 20. Like the year before, he averaged like 12, and obviously less than that years before. So like to me, I was just like, just if you stick it out, hold it out, you're still going to be obviously on one of the best teams in one of the best conferences in the country, and it will be your time to show, your time to shine, your time to shine. And that's kind of how I guess, mentally stuck through it and was always in the gym. My big man coach used to stay with me, stay on me 15, 20 minutes before practice with me, and him are doing a workout before practice is even starting. Just little stuff, catches, finishes, moves, polishing up some stuff, getting on the free throw line, stuff like that. And then junior year, I had a hell of a summer in terms of I think I came back and played GB under 20s, and I think I was like top 5 or something in scoring in the tournament. I think I had like Great Britain. I had a 40-point something game in the Euros and stuff like that. So everybody was kind of talking about in the States, like, oh yeah, he's turned the corner, he's made the jump, like he's going to be a big impact. Then things weren't going my way again in terms of I was starting, but just we had Isaiah, our other big John Brockman had graduated, gone to the league. We had Quincy Pondexter, who was a draft, obviously, prospect. And yeah, things weren't like, it was predicated around Quincy and predicated around Isaiah. Guys like myself, Justin Holiday. We get a little bit frustrated, I guess. Things weren't kind of going our way, but midway through that year, I don't know, like people say it, like the game just slowed down, a click, the flip of a switch flipped, and I went from averaging like probably the first half of the season, I was probably averaging around 7 points a game or something like that. I think the second half of the season, I averaged like 12 points a game. So obviously it brought my averages up, and then it was just double. Yeah, good game. Maybe have like 15 points, but like 8 rebounds, and like it just kept on rolling. And then I was like, yeah, I'm cool. And then we had a talk, I remember, at the end of my junior year, of my coach saying like, our closing end of year meetings, having a conversation like, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm looking at him confused. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you don't ever have a close of year meeting with me. This and the rest. It was just like, obviously, you talk, what are you thinking about putting your name in and this and the rest? And in my mind, I'm like, bro, I average like 10 points a game. Like, how the hell you think I'm going to get drafted off the average of 10 points a game? Like, I had a good second half of the season. That's about it. And he was just like, no, I'm just having a conversation with you because guys have done less and thought more. So I want to see where your head's at and to understand. I was like, bro, like, nah, like, if I was leaving school, I'd be a first rounder, and I know I'm a first rounder, and I'm out, and I'm going to get paid. Like, with all this other stuff, like, I don't think I'm even shown enough to be able to be people consider me to draft me. So it was like, okay. And then my senior year,
Killed it.
we just went crazy. Like, yeah, we just went crazy. Like, I just had the confidence, I guess, from the second half of my previous year. Finished a year averaging 16 and 8, and it was kind of like, yeah, we kind of just had a like my old assistant coach had taken a job at Seattle University, so he was still in the same city, but obviously not with us. And he used to check in with me, and he was just like, "How's the tour going?" Yo, we're busting everybody's ass every night. And I was, yeah, we were just having fun. It was good having, you know what I mean, I had a couple 30-point games, high double doubles, 20s, mid 20s, and 12 boards and stuff like that. The college level, obviously, it's just fun, and you kind of see what you're seeing, I guess, all your hard work and everything come out in positive aspects, and then on top of it, you're also seeing like, yeah, like these numbers. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So all these numbers I'm putting up and stuff like that, you're thinking like, yo, it's one step closer. I'm trying to get drafted. It's one step closer. This is one step closer. So yeah, it was just obviously fun times my senior year.
Yeah, plus you even got what first team All Pac-10 and most improved player as well. So that even
Yeah, in 1 year. Yeah, just as more accolades, as I said, like things that they look at, and things that you think are justifications for all the, you know what I mean, people know you obviously around the country and stuff like that when you're getting those type of accolades and stuff, but they don't know, like, yo, fam, 2 years ago, bro, I was about to get up out of here. I was thinking about transferring. I was, yeah, I mean, I'm getting pissed off. I'm away from friends, family, everything. I'm just like isolated, obviously, in the States. And it's not like 2021 when you have FaceTime and, you know what I mean? And
yeah, it's true, you know.
being able to talk to family, friends and all that. Yeah, like you're on your ones. When you say you're on your ones, you're on your ones. And it's a different life.
What do you think changed that you're going from 12 points to 16 points? Like, what do you think changed in your senior year?
I just think it was more understanding of the game. My coach always said I had the ability, but it was I tried to do every move on every possession, like understanding, reading the game. But yeah, I was only 12 points in the second half of the season, so that wasn't even my average for the season. My average for the season was probably like 9.5, 10 points a game. But that's why obviously I got most improved and stuff like that, because they just see it as the end result. So they say, oh, you average, say, 9 points a game. Now you're averaging 16 points a game. You damn near doubled your total most improved. But my coach would always say, he was like, no, you've got the talent to be at this level, to dominate at this level. It's just your understanding. But then again, it also plays into the part where, as I said, my junior year, I was starting and able to play through mistakes early on. Now, these mistakes aren't happening because I've played through it and I'm understanding why I'm making these mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge part of it. I think when I was able to play major minutes and like I said, play through my mistakes, I was able to cut them down. And then obviously my field goal percentages went up. Like I was averaging, I think I was playing scoring on like 57, 58% of my shots and stuff like that. So like that all makes things easier, but it's because I'm now reading the defense, reading the offense, reading when my guys are doing certain things and trying to make myself available for better positioning, or where I can get easy touches and easy shots and just shooting at a high percentage.
Yeah, plus also at this time, are you making a highlight reel? Because I've seen your dunks and they're mad. You're just on smoke. Draft to the rim, game over. Back off.
Yeah. Nah, back then it like highlights weren't as big. Like it's crazy because like now I think about it, like it was only I say only, but it was about 10 years ago. But the only highlight reels we used to have was obviously if you catch something crazy, the thing about being a big school is you're going to be on SportsCenter. So we used to always catch ESPN after games and stuff like that if something went on. And then end of year, each year the school or our video guy would make a end of, you know what I mean, end of season presentation video, like a 15-minute long highlight video of the season. And then, yeah, when Synergy, I guess, came out, when Synergy came out with every individual play, that's when Sam hit me up and was like, "Yo, I'm about to do your highlight tape," and it was like 8 minutes or 9 minutes long of literally my college highlights and yeah, obviously a lot of posters and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So you've done your college, you've done your 4 years at Washington Huskies, and have you decided to put yourself in the draft?
yeah, I think it's basically automatic anyway. But yeah, you go through the process, hire an agent, and I guess they do it all for you. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know if it's automatic or whatever, but obviously it's tough. You go through that little schedule, I guess, where you'll go into different teams. Teams will invite you into workouts. Most workouts are 3-on-3, so 6 guys, usually 2 guards, 2 wings, and 2 big men. Go through drills, shooting drills. They might do some testing with you, bench, speed tests, agility tests, stuff like that. And then, yeah, do some playing and put you in situations and some just to see your competitive nature, to go with the skill set. And obviously some guys are great spot up shooters, but they can't shoot a lick in a game and like game situations and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you're just going through it. I think I worked out with about 12 to 15 NBA teams. Yeah, so you just kind of going through it. You fly in probably the night before, might have a meeting with front office people. So the next day, obviously, you have breakfast. They pick you up, go to the facility, do your workout. It's media day usually. Some guys obviously do media. Not everybody does media every place. Obviously, certain teams might do media with if a guy is somebody that they're really considering or they got a high draft pick and one of the potential, say, top 5 picks are in that workout. They'll have like a full media session where they've literally got every camera in the gym on them. But yeah, just doing that a few times and like obviously it's exciting times. You don't know what's going to happen. My name was on, as we said, like a few draft boards back then. So obviously people are projecting that I should be drafted or could be drafted or teams should be looking at me. Yeah, and I think that was it. Oh, there's also the Portsmouth Invitational, which I had really well, which is for the best 60 or whatever seniors in the country. And I kind of showed out there and I got top 5, like all Portsmouth teams. So the top 5 players. And like, yeah, it was crazy because the 4 other guys ended up getting drafted and I didn't. Yeah, it's crazy. Andrew Gatlock, who was at College of Charleston, which is Andrew Lance's alumni. Vernon Macklin, cool dude that went to Florida. Myself, Malcolm Thomas, who was at San Diego State with Kawhi Leonard and that, and Jimmy Butler got MVP. Obviously, everybody knows Jimmy.
Yeah.
So yeah, still cool with those guys. Speak to every now and then with those guys. But yeah, it was a good tournament for me. I ended up averaging like 17 and 8 over like 3 or 4 games. But yeah, just fun times. But yeah, workouts were good workouts. I had some good ones, had some bad ones. It was a tough time for me personally because my son was born at the end of May. So I flew back to England for the birth. But it's tough because obviously, you know, working out, especially back then, it's tough, or trying to find a place to work out. Obviously, I'm going from working out every day. I've got a trainer that's coming up to the University of Washington every day to work me out, on top of getting shots up, on top of going to the gym. I'm literally doing this 6 days a week. And then obviously I fly home for 2 weeks to be here for the birth of my child, my son, and not being able to get in the gym, obviously, consistently or whatever, and obviously being beckon and call by the phone just in case she goes into labor and he's on the way. So like it was just tough times. And then I literally flew from not being able to work out for a couple of weeks in the UK straight to Minnesota to do an NBA workout.
Wow.
Like, it was crazy. Yeah, and that was a big workout. It was like, it wasn't just for the Timberwolves. It was like one of those, you had like 30 guys there and there's like 15 to 20 teams there. So they're all watching. And I was stunk it up. I remember it. So I was just like, this is just like, I can't let that happen again, to be honest. it was crazy because I had one of, if not probably one of the worst, if not the worst workout, but I had the craziest poster in that workout as well. So there was like, he's showing glimpses of what he can do, but he didn't have a good workout. But certain teams also flew me into their individual workouts, like, and kind of rectified that mistake.
Yeah.
Later on during the draft process.
Yeah, and also just like I think people forget how hard it is to get drafted because there's so many people who want to get an NBA, and then there's only a very fine amount of people that can be drafted. And just looking at your draft class, like Kyrie was in it, Kawhi was in it, Klay Thompson was in it, just shows that the talent levels are high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, put it this way, like Isaiah, obviously a teammate of mine, got drafted with the 60th pick, and he ended up being a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah.
So that shows. And like at the end of the day, what I will say is all it does is take one team or one person, one general manager, whatever, to like you. I don't think they always, obviously, they show that they don't always have it right. Because obviously, if you look at careers now, you say 10 years later, would Isaiah go 60th in the draft, a 2-time All-Star? How many All-Stars were there? You know what I mean? There's probably, if 10, if that, you know what I mean, in that draft. But he goes 60th. And just to think about all the seniors, obviously coming out of school and having good years. And then obviously all the underclassmen, like you said, like I said, Isaiah, or like you said, Klay Thompson, or Kyrie was a one and done. Derek Williams, who went number 2, he was at Arizona at the time. He was a sophomore. Like, you got all these underclassmen that obviously declare for the draft as well. So people don't realize. And then we're only talking about America and college. Like in that draft, I remember it, there was at least 10 to 15 guys out of the 60 that got drafted from Europe. So Europeans or overseas guys. So just there's a finite amount of spots, obviously it only being 60. And then on top of it, what made it worse was 2011 was the year of the lockout. So after the draft, the NBA shut down. So there was no NBA Summer League, there was no training camps, there was no mini camps. All of these are opportunities. So guys that like myself that go undrafted, able to still impress a team and still make a roster. And because of that, there was no NBA until Christmas. I think they finally signed the
CBA,
the agreement. So the agreement. So it was tough because obviously, as I said, my son was born at the end of May. I couldn't, without no obviously certainty around the NBA in terms of when it would start. They were talking about maybe potentially missing the whole season and all of that stuff. I'm like, obviously, I need to start making money to provide for him.
Yeah. Wow, it's crazy, man. So the draft, and speaking about the draft thing, like I think Jokic, he was a 2nd-round pick, and look how good he is. So it's basically a lottery in the sense of it.
Yeah.
And
and like I said, it just takes for one person. It just takes one person or one team, I guess, to like you, to give you a chance. And it's just tough because also you're not thinking about it because at the end of the day, it's basketball to you, but they're investing millions in these picks and these draft picks, and it's a lot to obviously invest in, but at the end of the day, it's also all these kids' dreams as well.
Yeah. And just a final question: are you ever told, like, maybe had inklings or this team was going to draft you? Are you told why they didn't draft you or why they picked that person ahead of you?
Nah, so draft night is very complicated because there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. All you see, or all the fancies, or whoever sees, is this person picked blah blah blah. So what you got to understand is, I can tell which Indiana had spoken to me. There was like, if he's still on the board, which we don't think he will be at 42, I think we're going to take him, or we'll take him, blah 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 blah. But that's what they told my agent. But then also to flip that, they also assumed that another team, or they had heard that another team was taking somebody else. So when something else doesn't happen above them, it kind of fucks up everything that's going on below them. So like, if things are not guaranteed, and it's different when it gets to the second round and stuff, but if things get all muddled up above, it kind of messes up for certain things that happen below, and people don't understand that. Like, imagine, as we said, like myself and you are perfect fit and this that, and the rest, and you like me and you I like you, or whatever it may be, it goes on. But then you hear another player is available who was supposed to go, I don't know, 10 picks higher.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, do we go with the guy that we think we like or whatever, but do we go with the guy that I guess the world believes is a better talent?
Mm.
So it's like a lot of stuff kind of goes on behind the scenes that people obviously don't know about. But yeah, you don't, like, once it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You don't kind of get an explanation or anything like that. It's just obviously they went with who they went with, and then teams can still not draft you and still be interested, and that's what people don't understand. Like, and that's what is a tough situation about having the lockout, because teams that were high on me or teams that were interested, or they weren't able to be like, you know what, summer league's here, come rock with us with summer league. I would just obviously evaluate who you have at my position and who you drafted and who you're bringing in to decide who I play for in summer league. But then in your whole mind, you're just like, I got to go and show out.
Yeah.
But obviously at that time, as I said, you're playing, or you're not really worried about school. Obviously March is the tournament's finished. I'm a senior, so I'm basically graduated. You're literally in the gym 3-4 times a day, where it be morning, I'm getting up 1,000 shots. Afternoon, I've got a weightlifting session. Evening, I've got a basketball workout. After that, I might come back after dinner and go get another 1,000 shots in. So I'm doing this daily. So you're playing some of the best basketball of your life, or most consistent basketball of your life. And then you get told, oh, the NBA shut down. There's no summer league. There's no mini camps. There's no workouts. There's no nothing. So you're just like, what am I supposed to do? And that's why I kind of ended up signing overseas, and, well, I say overseas, but in Europe, like over, I guess, on this side.
Okay, so after the whole draft has happened, you go to Europe, and which team do you go to, and what country?
Hacettepe in Turkey. So this was a Division 2 team that had just been the year before promoted to Division 1, so it's the first league in Turkey. And that year was an interesting one. You get to see the politics of professional basketball, but I got exposed to it very, very early. Yeah, and also Turkey that year might have been, if not, I know people will debate it or whatever, but it was definitely up there. But they were talking about it being the best league, more domestic league in the world outside of obviously the NBA. Between that and the ACB, and we had all of our top 8 teams that made the playoffs were in European competition. So obviously now we have EuroLeague, Champions League, FIBA Europe Cup and stuff. Back then it was EuroLeague, Euro Cup and Euro Challenge. And we had 3 teams in EuroLeague, 3 teams in Euro Cup, and 2 teams in Euro Challenge. And all 8 of them were obviously the top 8 teams in the league, but it was a huge league of like 16, 17 teams or something like that. But yeah, as I said, like the politics of basketball and politics of professional basketball kind of opened up to me then.
What type of
I was the only rookie. I was the only rookie on the team, or only American or import rookie. So we are allowed 4 per team, but only 3 are allowed on the court at once. Yeah, and we had a point guard, Sharon Collins, that went to Kansas, that had done some stuff for the NBA. We had a vet, Melvin Sanders. My vet is from Dallas, but he had played for the Spurs and stuff. He was a wing. And then we had a big as well, another big called Ricardo Marsh, who had played obviously a multitude of years in Europe, but had also done like training camps and stuff for the Atlanta Hawks. So he was around the NBA, and he had also played for this head coach years ago when he was played in Turkey, younger in his career. So as far as talent, I always, obviously, as I said, like I believe that I should be an NBA player, or at that time especially, like I could have got drafted or should have got drafted, and I believed I was obviously the most talented guy, versatile guy, whatever on the team. And I think it kind of showed in what I was able to do in the minutes I was able to do it in. I only played about 20 minutes a game.
Wow.
But I averaged like 13 points,
Yeah.
6 rebounds, and I led the league in blocks and I led the league in steals that year as a rookie. So I was obviously upset because I'm like, I should be playing more minutes. At the end of the day, like when I'm in, I'm producing. I'm not like shooting bad percentages where I'm getting numbers, but I'm not helping the team, or I'm making the team look bad or set the deficit of the team. Like we was predicted to finish the bottom of the league because obviously we were a new team going up. So we were predicted to finish at the bottom of the league and get relegated right back down to Division 2. But we came in, made some noise. We finished literally one game out of the playoffs in ninth spot. And as I said, the 8 teams ahead of us were all in European competition. So it's hard to obviously knock them out of the fold. But yeah, had a good year. Obviously, I'm playing against some of the top EuroLeague teams in Galatasaray and FS and who else was in EuroLeague? Fenerbahce and stuff like that. We have Besiktas as well in the league. They were the treble, so they won the cup, the league, and the cup. Yeah, Turkish Cup, the league, and they won the Euro Challenge title in Europe as well. So, like some of the levels, obviously a big brother played for them in Pops Mensah-Bonsu, somebody obviously British that I knew had played with on the national team and stuff like that. So he was with Besiktas, so it was good obviously playing against a friend, especially coming out because you don't see a lot of people obviously that you do know. It was just interesting. You meet a lot of guys and you see a lot of guys that you know from college and stuff like that, or you might have played against. Sometimes obviously we played in all different leagues all over the country. But you'll see guys that you played against maybe one time as a sophomore, but obviously they were a top high school kid, so you remember them from say like Nike All American camp, Nike All American camp and stuff like that growing up. So yeah, it was an interesting situation.
Was there like a language barrier being in Turkey? Were they coaching in English, or was it like you had to just catch on?
No, my coach spoke English. My coach spoke English. That was a good part. My coach did speak English. I'm trying to remember. Obviously, I played in so many different places, but my coach did speak. My coach did speak English. He was cool. But that was like I said, like he could see my frustration, especially being a young guy as well, and not being happy with the amount of minutes I'm playing, or thinking that I should be playing more minutes, because I remember even at times like he was like, "Do you think you're too good to be here?" and this and the rest. And I'd just be honest with him, be like, "Yeah, I think I should be in the NBA." Like simple as like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like it's not changing what I'm doing. Like I'll come in and I'll you know what I mean, work out. I'll come in and be a part of practice every day and come in and do whatever I have to do. But yeah, like I feel like it's below me or beneath me, and I don't know. Obviously, it's part of, like you said, like you got to have that kind of, as I said earlier, like confidence and I guess arrogance, but not too arrogant, obviously, but some type of arrogance about yourself and about the game, because that's how you separate yourself from others.
Yeah. And plus, and during these summers, you're going back playing summer league for like, an NBA team. Speak about
Bulls, yeah.
for the viewers, what is summer league, and speak about what happens at these competitions.
Another I guess situation where it's a lot of politics. Anybody that's ever been through it on both sides, yeah, a lot of politics. Teams are bring you in. Obviously, I'm not saying there is an opportunity to make it to the NBA, but it's very difficult. Like from being an unknown to you're going to be on an NBA roster. And the reason I say that is because it's predicated around their draft picks and their players that they already have. Yeah. So if you get drafted, you're playing regardless. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like you're playing 30 minutes, you're there to showcase, get better, this and the rest. So you're playing. So sometimes you look at situations where you don't want to be on a team that's drafted a player in your position, because they're going to play out of 48 minutes. They're going to play 35 to 40 minutes regardless. Like it doesn't matter what they do. They could have 2 points, 4 rebounds, whatever. They're going to play. Right. So That's what I mean in terms of politics. And then also certain teams also use it as, say we have a 15-man road team, 15-man team in the regular season, but we only run about 8, 9 guys max in terms of bulk of the minutes or whatever it is during the season. So if you're a young guy, say you're in your first year, your second year, or whatever it may be, they will use summer league to get your confidence up, to get you playing, high level minutes, see how you've improved. Because you got to understand, if you're not playing in NBA games, you're not really practicing because you've got 82 games. So
Yeah.
guys are not practicing in terms of like, getting up and down, having mad conditioning, doing the X, Y, and Z, this, that, and the rest. So obviously you still are practicing, but it's not the same level. So you're not, I guess, improving, or you're not seeing an improvement necessarily every day from some of your guys at the back end of your bench. So if you've got guys that are young, 1, 2, 3 years in the NBA, they'll bring them along to summer league and go play 40 minutes a game. So now you've got to also, it's all, like I said, it's all like chess pieces. So now you've got to pick a team where you haven't got a draft pick or that plays your position. Now you've also got to try and find out who's on the roster, because you got to see if they have any guys that are on their actual NBA roster that they have been on the summer league roster, because those guys are going to play. That happened to me one year in Portland, where they had 6 guys. The year when they had like Dame Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge and Wes Matthews and all those guys, they literally played about 7 guys max, but they all played 35 to 40 minutes a game. So the back end of the roster never played. So I get to Portland, I was trying to find out from my agent, who have they signed, who have they got in summer league, He was like, they sort out you. Like they said, Matt, like they hit him up, my agency, we want Matthew to play with us for summer league, see how he's developed, blah, 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 which is fine. And my agent kind of took it as a positive because they sought him out to find out about me. And it was interesting because I had a double-double when I played the year before in summer league against Portland.
Okay.
When they had CJ, I think CJ was playing summer league, so they just dropped it, CJ McCollum. Yeah. Because there was times where I had to switch, and as a big, and I'm guarding CJ, and I was doing a decent job on him, like in switching a few plays or whatever. So my agent just assumed, because I think I had a double-double, and I think I had like 5 blocks or something. So my agent assumed it was from me having a good game against them last summer, that they was like, what's he doing this year? Who's he playing for summer league? We want him to come and bring him in. So then, which is fine. So he's just like, yeah, Matt, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool, but who do they have? They haven't released it yet, Matt. But who do they have? I need to know, like, this is like my 3rd or 4th summer league or whatever. So I'm like, I'm knowing the game now. So I'm trying to get on, so I'm trying to get on his head about it. He was just like, no, they'll release it when they release it, this, that, and the rest. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. He was like, it's big that they came after me for you. So, like, they must be somewhat interested or whatever it may be. The day before I'm supposed to go to Portland, I think I'm in Chicago. The day before I'm supposed to go to Portland, they release the thing, the roster or whatever for the summer league, and they have 6 players on their NBA roster playing summer league. No other team in the 6. They had Alan Crabb, Thomas Robinson, Will Barton, Joel was there actually, Joel Freeland, obviously British kid, Myers Leonard, and somebody else, I can't remember off the top of my head. That's 5 anyway. But they had like 6 guys. So like when I mean they played the whole summer league and everybody else just sat down, it was like there was no point in even being there. Like it was a paid vacation to Vegas, really. Like it was crazy. Like I tried to be say professional and being like, I'm not going out like this is no, but when I say it, like you understand, like Vegas, I think the reason they have summer league in Vegas is because you have every temptation to do everything wrong.
Oh yeah, that's a good
So
point.
you kind of weeds out the guys who's serious and who's not serious. So I wasn't doing nothing. Like I'm chilling. Like obviously there's gambling and stuff like that. People gamble here and there. I'm not really a big gambler anyway, but like I'm talking about every casino, every hotel has a club. Like this is going on. Like everything's going on. So like 3-4 days in, I'm not getting no burn, like literally none. Like, but like I said, the whole bench isn't getting any burn. So like, I think Isaiah had flew into Vegas to be around Sacramento or whatever. So he had reached out. He was like, "Yo, what's good? You got a game tomorrow?" So I was like, "Yeah, but bro, I ain't really playing. But I shouldn't really. I mean, you've got your mills. Like, I'm trying to get paid like this and the rest." He was like, "Bro, if you haven't played, who's on your squad?" And then I told him, he was like, "Bro, you coming out with me, yo? Don't just be sitting around moping around the hotel, like whatever." So we go out. I go to meet him, or he tells me where to meet him at. We go to the club, bro. Tell me why. I walk in, see him, give him that. 2 tables down, the whole of my bench, like Portland Trailblazers, the whole of our bench was out in the club partying, getting it in, drunk, got bottles, doing whatever. I'm like, yo, you niggas he's like, they're like, yo, we've been out every night, yo. Coach ain't playing us. What were they playing us? They got 6 niggas on the squad, like, duh, 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 duh.
Really?
So I'm like, so you look were out and you couldn't even shout, man. He was like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know what you was on, or people like, I don't even know, like, I hadn't seen you out, I hadn't heard you talking about going out, I heard you, because obviously at the end of the day, we're all pros, so we've all made money, some type of money, whatever. We're playing pro in Europe and stuff like that, so we know each other. But they was like, I didn't know, like, I just thought the club wasn't your thing, because I'm talking about literally 5, 6 guys that are all on the team with me, with 2 tables down, getting lit, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. But like I said, it's all part of the politics game, because they knew, because they've been through it, because we've like, when you've done it once or twice, you kind of see the ongoings. You're in kind of the circles, I guess, to understand, where people, like I said, fans or whatever, just see it as, oh yeah, summer league's on, let me watch the game. When they're not thinking about, you do realize when those 5 guys are on the court, there's 5 to 7 guys on the bench or whatever that are all having their dreams like flash before their eyes, like right in front of them. They're like, this was my opportunity. The coach didn't give me an opportunity. So yeah, like, there's a lot of politics in the professional game that you don't know or you don't see until you get there, or until, I guess, you're told about certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something you would have expected, isn't it? You would have thought, summer league opportunity, you'll get it, but
Opportunity.
they have to think of their own
like I
selves.
said,
They've got a bench
at the
player.
end of the day,
Need him.
and yeah, and then like you said, like, they've invested X amount of million in that person already. Even if it's at the end of the bench, you're still getting paid millions. Like, that's money to be, to be like, oh yeah, well, do I want to, give him somebody who I'm giving millions a chance to, get better and improve, or give another Tom, Dick, and Harry, his minutes and so.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot.
Interesting, man. This is good. Interesting. So after you've done your stint in Turkey, I've seen you've played for a lot of clubs, Argentina, Brazil. What's the reasoning behind like going to different countries? Is it to just get into the league, or is it to like, I'm too good here, let me test myself?
Nah, so I'll be honest with you. At the end of the day, basketball's your job.
Yeah.
So some people like stability, some people like this, some people like that. To me, I'm not going to reside in any of these countries once I finish playing.
Yeah.
I have no ties to France. I have no ties to Japan. I have no ties to Mexico. I have no ties to Argentina. Like, if I'm not in London, unless I'm in the States, I don't want to, like, no disrespect, but I don't want to be there.
Yeah, that's stuff.
So unless you're paying me, I'm going to be there. And that's what people don't understand. People look at it as a bad thing. Oh, he's globetrotted, or he's done this. Like, I've had multiple places that I've been, won a championship, and the team's tried to get me back, and I'm like, no, because I'm getting paid more here. And then people look at it in terms of, oh, why would he want to globetrot? Or why would you not? Like, I can only play this game for 10 to 15 years max. Why would I not see the world?
That's a good point. Yeah.
To me, I'd rather go be a part of this culture if I'm getting paid more as well. But I'm go be a part of this culture, visit this culture, see this. My son's got to see the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could go to France and make the same money over and over and over again, and be in the same position. And they're like, oh yeah, but it's more stable and you're comfortable. So what am I comfortable for? Because I'm here for 8 to 9 months, and I'm coming back to the UK. Like, at the end of the day, I'm coming home. Like, if I want to, move to France and be, adored and loved by a certain team and club and have history and X, Y, and Z because I'm going to live there for the rest of my life, then cool. But if that's not my priority or my prerogative, then it's like, go get your check. That's what it is to me. Because 10, like I said, you're only going to play 10 to 15 years. Your career in sports is so much shorter than your career or your life expectancy in any other career. So
It is.
it's about making sure that you're all right and making sure that you're putting yourselves in good situations and places to obviously get the best and I guess the best financial gain out of it.
Yeah. And just speaking about, because you said you had obviously your child was born, I think like 9 years ago. So was your child coming with you to these different countries, or was he just staying in London?
So
And
he was in London, but they would visit. They would visit probably a couple of
okay.
times a year. So like my son's first passport is stamped to the max. Obviously now for real, Turkey, Serbia, France, Japan, Mexico, like pretty much everywhere I played, he would come visit. Obviously, the last few years I've been here, but before that, like they would definitely visit and definitely, obviously. And it's crazy because he talks about certain places still. Like at 9 years old, he talks about, oh yeah, do you remember? And I'm thinking, I'm like, bro, you was actually like 3 years old, like at this time. Like, how do you even remember it? Like, it's crazy, but it's obviously shaping him and him being well, I guess, versed in culture and stuff and around the world. Because he talks to me about certain teammates that in the past, or he'll bring up something. And my son's very out there. When I say he's out there, like we'll be watching a movie and then he'll say something about a teammate, and I'm like,
Oh,
"Are you talking about like? Are
intelligent.
you talking about X, Y, and Z?" And then I'm like, he's like, "Yeah," and then I'm like, "Bro, like you was 4, like, or you was 5 when we was out there. Like, how do you even remember that? Or how are you tying something that you're watching on TV to this? Or oh yeah, because they do this because," and I'm like,
Mm.
okay, but yeah. To me, I know it's looked at in terms of a negative being a globetrotter and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, for me, it's something that I've had the pleasure, I would say, to see and view a lot of cultures that I wouldn't be able to see and view if I did any other job, and up close and personal, and also just the fact that, well, as I said, like you want to be in the best place financially to be able to sort out, I guess, your family and your loved ones.
Yeah. Plus, you've experienced life as well, so there's nothing wrong with that. And just before we get into like when you came back to London, what's your favorite league that you played in, like apart from London or America? What's your
Uh,
favorite, or the one you enjoyed the most?
um, in terms of off court, on court, what do you mean?
Or both, or on court and then.
The toughest on court, as I said, was probably Turkey.
Mm.
As I said, like the level of the teams that were out there, like year in and year out. I mean, sorry, from top to bottom, was crazy. As I said, like it felt like when you've got half the league playing in European competition, like it feels like every game is somebody. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that was good. Um, had a great time in France, both on court and off court. That I was in the south of France.
Oh,
My team was called Antibes, down by Nice and Cannes area and the French Riviera. Like I was like 30 minutes from Monaco. Like it was love. Like legit, yeah. You could legit like get out of practice and go lay on the beach if you wanted to. Like
life of a pro.
loved it down there. Yeah, yeah. But obviously it's not the same everywhere. But it was beautiful down there, and obviously French Pro A in France is a high level of basketball. Um, I enjoyed Mexico as well. Actually, I was right on the border of California, in Mexicali. Yeah, so I had fun times. I had a fun team. Sometimes a team can make your situation a lot better and a lot easier. So we had a lot of Mexican Americans, so guys that had Mexican passports, but they were really American. So it felt like I was not the oldest, but I was up there. But I was only 26, and I was one of the oldest guys. So we had a lot of young guys. It felt like college. Yeah, yeah. It felt like a college kind of environment where all the team was cool with each other. Like we'd go out together, we'd do group things together, go team bowling and stuff like that. But it wasn't like a team thing where the coach would be like, "Okay, we're doing this together." Like we would just do it off our own backs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you lot doing Saturday? Anything planned? Nah, come on, let's go and just do stuff together. So that was really cool and that was really chill. actually had the guys in the NBA right now on that team. Juan Toscano Anderson. That's with the Golden State Warriors. It was his rookie year, my second year out there. But yeah, a lot of fun times with a lot of guys that obviously you maintain some good relationships with.
Yeah, that's good, man. And you come back to London for the London City Royals. I mean, they didn't even last long at all. But like, how was it there? Firstly, what brought you back to the UK? And like, tell us about the experience at the Royals.
It's interesting because there was a lot of, I guess, negative things that were talked about with the Royals. Obviously, they weren't able to sustain what they had started or what they were doing, but Narmo Shiri, being the head of basketball operations, wanted to kind of give British guys the opportunity to play at home for a decent amount of money. People don't know what I made overseas, so people don't realize I took a huge pay cut to come home.
Wow.
And
Respect.
there was a lot of stuff going on, and people had rumors and stuff. Obviously, I didn't disclose anything publicly or anything like that of what I was actually making with the Royals, but there was a lot of talk about the Royals are overpaying guys and they're doing X, Y, and Z, and I just felt it as bad for the league. And I'm not saying that in comparison to other teams and in comparison to other things that they weren't paying more than other guys or more than other franchises and more than other teams, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of the players or detriment of the league. Like, it shouldn't be looked down upon. Like, I think the culture in the UK is we're trying to get the most out of the least that we can give, and that's why there's so many issues with people wanting to come home and guys playing at a high level, wanting to come home, but they can't do it because financially it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think that the Royals, I guess, mantra for what they wanted to do was the right way in terms of, all right, well, if we want this level of guy to come home and make our domestic league better and stronger, we have to pay him because he's valued at X amount overseas. Like, if this was any other field, and I don't know, say this was finance, and you could get paid 80K for a job in France, but you could get paid 35K for a job in the UK, you're going to go to France.
100%. I'm there already.
But when it comes to basketball, people look down upon you, like, why would you go play in France when you can play in the UK? Well, why, like, would you work for less? At the end of the day, people got to understand, like, yes, it's a sport, but it's still our jobs and our livelihoods. And as I said, you're only in this for 10 to 15 years. Like, it's different if you're saying, you know what, I can pay you 35K a year for 40 years.
Yeah, different.
All right, well, at least I'm comfortable for 40 years. But if I know I'm only going to be able to do this for 10 to 15 years or whatever it is, I'm saying 10 to 15 years to make sure you have a good and solid career. Not, especially in the UK, not a lot of guys have that type of career. Me, myself, it feels like I've been playing forever. I've only been playing professionally for 10 years. So the guys that say are not on my level in terms of talent-wise or whatever it may be might have a career of 6 years. So if you could play for 6 years and you can play for 35K or 80K, like, why would you not for 6 years take 80K?
That's true.
Like, it doesn't make sense. And that's what people don't understand. And I think that it got looked upon very, very negatively, that they were trying to do that. I know that teams were upset and I guess tried to make, I guess the owner at the time, John Sawyer, aware that they don't pay their players that much. But why is it okay, or why is there no, say, British basketball? Why is there no British basketball advocate that's saying that these guys are paid too much, or the Royals pay too much money, or say the Lions now, or Plymouth, or whoever's got the money in the BBL now? If all of these guys are so sought after and so mad that you're playing British players or X amount of players why are they not the same way when it comes to football? The guys that are getting paid millions for a sport. It's no different. It's a sport. It's a sport that brings entertainment to you, to your household, to your television screens, whatever it may be. But yet, you get mad that somebody's making, say, 100,000, but you're not mad that somebody makes 1 million.
Yeah.
I don't understand that to me.
Yeah.
So like, it's just it doesn't make much sense to me, if I'm being honest. And I just think that the guys that are overseas, or the guys obviously I was for a long period of time, that I'm not saying that they shouldn't come back, but only come back if the situation is the right situation for you. Because at the end of the day, once you hit mid-30s, like, they're going to, like, sports in general, you got to understand that they're just going to wipe their hands off you, and you're just going to be somebody written down in books, like in the history books or whatever it is, record books or whatever. But they don't care about what you do. And especially when it comes to basketball, something that Kieran Achara is doing a lot right now, there's not a lot of pathways. So we'll spend X amount of time building a career and doing X, Y, and Z to now hit mid-30s and be done with the sport. And it's not like you can go into coaching or go into a GM role or go into whatever it may be. There's no avenues in the UK for that. So it's like you've got to start flat on your face, bottom of the barrel, and trying to get a new career going on. And people don't understand that either.
But you make a very good point when you're talking about how it's looked down upon. I think that's just in sports in general in like this country. Because if you look at football, for example, if a footballer's earning, let's say 40k a week at, let's say, West Ham, and then he goes to Chelsea for 90k a week, those fans are going to cuss him out, saying, you've got no loyalty, you're scum, you're this. There's a lot of tribalism in sport. When people are attached to a certain player and a team, it's like, if you leave, like, you're how can you leave us? But it's like, you're not paying you're not paying what I've got to pay.
Exactly.
For. Yeah.
Exactly. But fam, if I'm making 40k a week, I'm not saying I wouldn't take the 90k a week, but you're making 40k a week. Like, I don't understand it in terms of, like, that's not like I was making a mil overseas or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was making obviously decent money, good money, but like, you can't get mad that a team wants to pay me, you know what I mean, a certain amount of money, which isn't even like, you know what I mean, 6 figures.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're mad that these guys want to go overseas and make that type of money. Or you're mad that a team in the league wants to come and pay these guys that type of money. Like, why would you be mad at that? Like, it's like you're unhappy for my success, or you're unhappy for, like, if a team pays me, how does that affect you?
It doesn't.
Apart from you get to see my talent on the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was so much stick back and whatever it may be, like, oh, they're spending too much money on their players and they're doing this and they're doing that. And so what, you want the league to be the best league in Europe for however long? Like, there's only way for this league and the BBO and everything to get up is if you pay guys, because once you pay guys, you bring better talent. Once you bring better talent, and even it's like the best leagues in the world outside obviously the NBA, are the leagues that have some of the best, the most talented domestic players. So like when you see Spain, you know Spain's top whatever in the world when it comes to the national team. But the guys obviously that are not playing in the NBA, majority of them are playing in Spain.
Yeah.
And that's because they have the money to pay the best domestic players. So it doesn't matter what Americans you bring in, but obviously if you can only have 3 or 4, whatever it may be, imports. If you surround them with the best domestic players, obviously it brings up the value of the league. And until I think the British league, whether it be the BBO or if there's another league that happens or whatever it may be, like, until they're like, we want to pay guys. And so we have, say, like the Ovi Sokos, the Gabe Olasenis, the Miles Hessens, the whoever it is, the young version of myself or whoever it is, then obviously it will uplift the league as a whole. And then once you uplift the league as a whole, you get respect from your counterparts. Because when you go to France or you go to Spain or you go to Germany and you would say, oh yeah, I'm playing in the BBL and British Basketball League, they'll look at you like, oh, you must be trash. Like, real shit. Being honest. If you're being honest and you're being real about the situation, yeah.
That's true. But on the whole, just get your bag, man. Like, all of this. But anyway, let's leave out good positive things with the Royals. You did win the BBL Cup and you did get to the finals. I read out your stat sheet. Do you know your stat sheet for the finals? That final game, the trophy win.
Had 19 and something.
BBL trophy. BBL trophy. The one you won.
Oh, the trophy. Yeah. Oh, trophy. No. I thought you meant the playoff final. I should have had a triple double. I know I was close to.
Yeah, very close.
26.
Yeah, that's great.
8, 7 assists.
Yeah.
And 4 blocks. Yeah,
Yeah, 4 rebounds
I
as well.
remember. Yeah,
Okay, you know,
for huh?
4 rebounds. That's what it says.
No, 8 rebounds, 8 rebounds,
I
eight
was at
rebounds.
eight.
Come on, bro.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but
26 and 8. 26 and 8. 26. I know it was 26 and 8.
yeah,
Um, I might have 4 steals as well. Something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, something like that.
4 steals. I put rebounds twice. 8 rebounds. You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah, it was a hell of a game, but it was just fun, especially playing against the Lions. Not only that it being a crosstown rival and all of that, but what people don't understand is there was 20 plus British players on the court, and the majority of them were London born and London raised. So like, you know what I mean, we were playing against your boys and playing with your guys and guys that we grew up playing with and against. Obviously Justin is like a brother to me, playing for the Top Cats. And then guys like, even they had Paul Guade, Paul, like, as kids, like Justin will tell you, if you had a talk with Justin Jack, Justin will tell you, like, Paul as a child. Have you had a talk with him, or you
No,
trying
no.
to get him on or
I've
whatever?
been speaking to Ed Lucas.
Okay. If you have a talk with Justin, just say that I said, or a question from me was like, describe Paul Guade as a junior or as a kid before he went to the States. He was miles beyond his years.
Mm.
Like when we was young, like it was like he was a level above us. He was only, well, he's actually 87, so he's a school year, I think, above us, but a year. I'm at 88 born, so it was only like a year above us, but it felt like he was like 3 or 4 years in terms of his talent at them ages. So yeah, just playing against guys like that, and then obviously playing with obviously the British guys that I was with. Obviously, as you said, you did the Under Edge. Like that's like a little brother to me. Like he used to see me, used to talk about it, like growing up as kids. Who like we're both from the same ends in it. So like, even if I was like on the high street popping, go Tesco's or something, he was like, as a kid, I didn't even used to say nothing. I used to see like, yo, that's NBA, yo, like da, 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 like little stuff like that. But it's like him, obviously LVC. Been playing against Will Neighbor from back in the day, like Midnight Madness and stuff like that. Yeah, it was just crazy. It was crazy. Jules, like a little brother to me, obviously another South London kid. Like, so all these guys to be able to showcase, obviously it being on BBC, showcase the league, but also showcase London. And I think it was a great showcase just to show that, you know, I mean, we got some hoopers here. I was able to show out, and obviously the first major final going into overtime. Obviously myself having a big game, Ed hitting that big three to send it to overtime. Like,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, like when it's British guys and guys born and bred here and being able to make plays and do stuff on that stage. And obviously it was weird, two London teams playing in Glasgow, but obviously they came, they showed out, and it was like great. No, it was great. Like, I'm not saying it was fully sold out or whatever, but it was a lot of people in them stands, and you don't see that often in British basketball.
No, you don't. No. But what part of London are you from? South, you said.
South, yeah.
Whereabouts?
So,
From South as well.
Fulton Heath.
You're lying.
Swear down, I'm in Fulton Heath.
Fulton Heath. I'm Fulton Heath. Actually, I'm not gonna name my road, innit? Come and get me.
Yeah.
I'm Heath as well. Though.
Yeah.
Big up.
Okay, we'll talk once you turn this thing out.
We'll talk this
I'll
record.
talk CR7 though. CR7.
Yeah, come on. CR7, we know. we know. Road and that. You know about that.
Yeah.
After the Royals, you had a couple more stints in like England. You even went to Egypt. Speak about the Egypt, like.
So this is what happened. The Royals thing went pear-shaped or whatever towards the end of that season. Obviously, after we lost in the finals, things were a bit up and down. There was some issues, obviously, financially. So then, obviously, it didn't end up going back. So I was sorting some stuff out to do with the Royals while the season was starting, I guess, for last year. So 2019-20 season. Hadn't signed anywhere, so I went to Mexico at the beginning. I think late, maybe November. But they were halfway through. They've changed their season, so they do 2 short seasons. So one from September to January, and then one from like January, whatever, February till like the rest of the year. So I came in November, finished off, did a couple months there, finished off, came back in January, and I was working out with Surrey, just to stay in shape and do all of that stuff while I was looking for a different gig. But Creon, obviously, real cool dude. Obviously, he was doing me a favor staying in shape. Was like, if we can pay you a little bit for the meantime, would you want to suit up for us? Obviously, Teo was in my ear, another guy, like I said, London guy that grew up playing with and stuff. So they kind of got in my ear about it all. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So, suited up for them for about 6, 7 games. And then Egypt came along, and it was a big deal. Creon obviously was let me go to do it, but I didn't end up going. So that's why I say, let me just speak about it. It was for the BAL, the Basketball Africa League. What they were doing is having the champions of different countries across Africa play in one league, which would have only lasted about 3 months. And my team was obviously the Egyptian champions, Zamalek. So yeah, it was a good opportunity. I looked at it as especially it being the first year of the BAL. And obviously Luau Deng was an ambassador. Had guys like Jarflo, Larkai, who was working behind the scenes for it, Benny Bonsu was working behind the scenes for it, Pop Spencer Bonsu as well. So I thought it'd be a good thing, and obviously I'm half Jamaican, half Ghanaian, so I've got an African passport. So I was playing actually as an African over there, or I would have been playing as an African over there. So yeah, it was just a good situation, a good I guess potential. It's a little bit of extra exposure, you know what I mean? Like I played everywhere else, so I was like, why not? Obviously, it was good financially for me to sign there for the last few months of the season. But then literally I was supposed to fly out on a Monday, but I had a dentist appointment booked on a Tuesday. So the team was like, sort out your dentist appointment on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we'll have another conversation and sort out when we're going to have your new flight come in. So I was like, fine, that's no problem. Wednesday comes around. Everything's fine. Wednesday comes around. The BAL or the NBA got postponed, and because the NBA is or the BAL is a umbrella of the NBA, they was like, we're postponing the league until the unforeseeable future, and we'll let you know when it's coming back. So like literally, I should have been in Egypt, but but because obviously I couldn't get on that first flight, we didn't end up obviously rearranging it because obviously they hadn't said a new start date or anything for anything to go on. So kind of just playing it by ear. They still kind of said they're interested. The team's still interested in me. They like me. They really like me. They like they've seen obviously where I've played, the numbers I've put up, my percentages and stuff like that. So they're still very much interested. But obviously without the NBA signing off and saying that the league go ahead, is obviously until I would take that month or a few months off to go over there. But yeah, it was definitely a interesting situation, something I was looking forward to going to. I've actually been to Egypt before, but on a leisure, I guess, holiday. My son wanted to go. One summer, I think he was looking in history class, was learning about the pyramids and stuff like that, and he was like, I want to go to Cairo, I want to go to see the whatever. So I took him one summer. So I've been obviously to Egypt before, so it'd been good to obviously go back.
See what COVID did. Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Man. The bag was nice too.
Oh, it must have been. Wait. Yeah, just brush up on like the last few months of like 2020. Was that Surrey or Worcester?
So yeah, so it was Worcester. So same sort of thing, I guess. With how I did with Surrey, Worcester was having issues with getting visas for their Americans. They knew it wasn't going to be able to get approved until December. So they had, obviously with the late start, maybe a month before Christmas. So Jordan Williams, it's like my son. He he had messaged me. I was like, "Yo, have you signed anywhere? What are you doing?" This was obviously after I got released from the Lions situation. Um, and I was just like, "No, I'm at the house chilling, waiting to hear from some stuff from my agent, this and the rest." He was like, "You want to come up here?" So I was just like, why? What's going on? What's the issue? Like, how long?" This and the rest. He was like, I think it's just short term, but I think we can't get any Americans in. But I know Newbie's looking for somebody to help us kind of fill the void. Um, I can obviously send him your number or whatever, and you guys can have a conversation and see what happens. And then obviously we did. I knew Newbie somewhat already. He had a few of my coast boys growing up. He had coached them up at Lee's Carnegie for like uni and stuff. Albert Margai, Laddie Brown, David Ejamobi, Ahmed, Armand, sorry. So yeah, they'd all told me like he's a cool guy to play for, stuff like that. Jordan was cool with him. And told me, yeah, practices are chill. You'd come in. We're going to play a lot because obviously we only have 5 pros at the moment. And just kind of see how things go. So kind of went down there. I think it was a bit different for him. He usually has younger teams. So like the main players are Jordan and Martin Boutnick, but they're only 25, 26. Obviously me being 32, 33, I was like, you know what I mean? Like what they do, what I did 7 years ago is like, all right, cool. Like you can go crazy in practice. You can have me run suicides, do whatever. But at 33, I'm like, yo, relax in it.
So you've done your time.
So things, yeah, you know what I mean? So it was a good situation. I think we understood each other very well. We came across, I think we came across very well, and we kind of just did our job. For the guys that we did have, and for the lack of, as I said, professionals on the court, and obviously, I guess on the bench, because obviously you can only have 5 on the court, but on the bench, did really well. Won games that we believe that we were able to compete with teams that obviously had their full squad. Obviously, at other games, we ended up getting blown out a couple of times, but obviously you take your lumps with everything that goes on, and I think with the Americans that they've got right now, obviously I was able to be there with them for a couple of weeks before I parted ways, but it was really good. I think they got some talented guys to go along with the guys that they already had, and I think they've got the opportunity to finish high in the league. Obviously after a tough beginning, being short-handed, but I think they've definitely got an opportunity to surprise some people once they get, in their groove and rolling.
Big up, big up. Now let's go on to the flex your knowledge bit. I always like this.
This guy. Here we go.
Let's see if you say you watch NBA TV, you're watching it. Let's see if you really were watching NBA. Okay. There's going to be 6 questions. The last question is worth 5 points. The first 5 questions are worth 5 points, but with a bonus point on each question. Okay. So, question number 1.
I don't like your smiles right now, brother. You're looking real like I'm about to catch this dude out. Like, what's
I can't lie. Some of them are a bit like I'm asking a lot here, but some of them you should get them. I think.
Okay.
Number 1. Which NBA duo had the highest scoring points per game average in the regular season last year? I'm gonna give you options, so you ain't got to guess.
Okay. I'm like, geez.
Yeah, I was thinking it's difficult. Yeah, I'll give you options for each question. Is it A, Dame and CJ, B, LeBron and AD, C, Giannis and Chris Middleton, or D, Harden and Westbrook?
It's between A and D, bruv. There was only 4 options?
Yeah, for 4 options. So between those 4.
Yeah, it was between A and D. It's between A and D. No, it's between A and D. I'm telling you for sure. It's between CJ and Dame and Harden and Westbrook.
The other options?
I don't need the other options, bro. Let me go with James and Russ.
That's right. Yeah, James and Russ is right. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. See what I'm saying? Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. I ain't gonna lie. I was between before you even said the options. I was between them two.
Yeah, you got that spot on. Okay, cool. For the bonus
I
point,
think it was just that extra. You know what I mean? James leading the league in scoring. That's why I rocked with them.
yeah, that makes sense. But for bonus point, what was their points per game in that season? Last season.
I'll tell you exactly to the point, whatever. But I want to say James was at like 30, Russ was at like 27.
Oh, together, like give me like a full total together.
Oh,
yeah.
56 or 57.
I'll give it to you to the nearest whole number.
I'm close in it. That's why.
No, you know, I'm gonna say. What's your final answer?
Say 55.
Oh, you're close. It was 61.9, but okay, I would have given you 62.
61. Jeez.
Yeah, because James, 61. I think James got 34. 34. Russell was 20.
I didn't realize it was that much. I thought it was 28. Like 30. I thought Russell was at like 27, but I thought James was like 30. So yeah, my fault. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll give you the others. Damon CJ, they were second. They only got 51.4.
Yeah.
Bron and AD 52.4. Bron and AD got more than Damon CJ.
So, okay.
Then Giannis and Chris got 50.7. But cool. Yeah. Question 2. This is probably the hardest question. Which one of these teams has won an NBA championship? Has won. Is it A, Orlando Magic, B, Atlanta Hawks, C, Utah Jazz, or D, Indiana Pacers? I'll name them again. Orlando Magic, Atlanta Hawks, Utah Jazz, or Indiana Pacers. Which out of those 4 teams have won an NBA championship?
Have won? Just one? Are you saying?
No, have won any. They could have won 2, 3, 4. But out of these teams, 3 haven't won any. 1 has won at least one.
What's the list again? Sorry.
Orlando Magic, Atlanta Hawks, Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers.
Jeez, these guys are some dead teams, man. Orlando, Indiana, Atlanta. Orlando, Indiana, Atlanta, and 2?
Orlando, Atlanta, Utah, or Indiana.
Utah?
Nah, that's wrong. Sorry to say. Utah ain't won it. You know, Michael Jordan
Utah ain't won it?
No. MJ stopped Carmelo from winning anything. Utah didn't win it.
Oh.
It's actually Atlanta Hawks. They've won a champion. They've only won one, but they've won a championship.
Okay, when?
That's the bonus point. If you can get me the year. That's why I said this is quite a hard question.
How are you gonna? Oh, jeez. All right.
If you get, I'll give you this. I'll give you the bonus point if you get it 2 years either side. See if you said 1947. If the year was 1947, I'll give you if you said 49 or 45.
That's mad, bro. I couldn't even tell you what century it was. I don't know. Give me a decade.
A decade? Okay, if I give you a decade, I'm not going to give you. No, you have to get.
No, you don't have to give me the point.
Okay.
You don't have to give me the point. But I'll just say, give me the decade that they won it.
The decade, it was the 50s.
See what I mean? Like, fam, how am I supposed to? Yeah, I mean, I was watching basketball in the 50s, blood.
I don't.
I don't know. 50. 51. I don't know.
Nah, it's 58. I mean, I wouldn't expect anyone to know that. But yeah, I don't know who they had them times, but 958.
Yeah, that's
Atlanta
right.
Hawks. Okay, number 3.
You know what? I'm about to look this up, bro. Atlanta Hawks on the tip.
Cool. Yeah, you look it up.
NBA champions.
Yeah, when I was doing it, I had to literally search.
Fam! No, that don't count. See, trick question, bro.
How was that a trick question?
You see what that team says, 1958.
Oh, it's the same. Are we doing this? Okay, so if I ask you how many titles Lakers have, are you going to tell me that they ain't got 17?
All right, but I didn't even know that Atlanta Hawks was the St. Louis Hawks before that franchise.
Everyone's changed teams. Come on, man. Everyone's
come on. Even if I tried to cheat, I couldn't have got that right because I would have been like, well, none of them are on the list.
No, cool.
That's a tough one.
Cool. Just because that is a good point. They weren't Atlanta Hawks at the time, but I'll give you another question at the end.
All right, cool.
The next question is, which team drafted Kobe Bryant? Is it
Charlotte Hornets?
Okay, I ain't gonna. There's other options, but
it's Charlotte Hornets, man. What you mean? And then traded to the Lakers.
Just for the viewers,
and the extra point. And the extra question.
It was an extra bonus point.
Who did he get traded to?
No, that wasn't. I wasn't gonna do that. But it's not that.
I'm joking.
What year was it?
98 draft.
98 draft?
No, 96. Fuck.
I'll give it to you because I'm the last person. I'll give it to you. Okay, you got
I'm tripping, but yeah, I know that.
Yeah, cool.
You didn't ask if that was my final answer. If you said, is that your final answer? I'd have been like, hold on, 96.
I'm not going to react from now on. Cool. Number 4.
Go on, what were the other answers anyway for the fans?
Oh, there were, I had LA Lakers. I thought someone didn't watch NBA would say that. I had Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings, California.
Okay.
But yeah. Question 4. Out of the following names, who has the most assists? Out of the following names I'm going to mention. Is it A, LeBron James, B, Rajon Rondo, C, Chris Paul, or D, Russell Westbrook?
Chris Paul.
That final answer?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Chris Paul's correct. Oh, this guy.
Look at this guy. Easy. Come on, light work.
For the bonus point, out of those names I've mentioned, who has the least currently assists? So I name them again. LeBron James, Rondo, Chris Paul. Can't be him, obviously. Or Westbrook. So between Rondo, Westbrook, or LeBron, who has the least amount of assists?
Russ.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
And that is wrong. Yeah.
That's
actually, Russ is close. It's actually Rondo. Rondo has the least.
Okay. It was between them two, but the only reason why I said Russ was because his career. I know he's had some obviously triple-double years and stuff, but his career is shorter.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. Russ has 7,383. Rondo's got 7,243. So,
okay, yeah.
Fucking cheese. Cool. Question number 5. Now, we've all seen The Last Dance. Which team won the 2 titles in between?
Houston Rockets.
I give you easy questions. I didn't know the NBA knowledge, but yeah, Houston Rockets. Yeah, Houston. I'm not gonna read the rest. Options were Lakers, Knicks, or the Spurs. Okay. And for the bonus point, who won Finals MVP in those years?
Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem the Dream.
Fam, I give you easy. I can't lie. I'm after
real. You give me easy questions, or just do I know basketball? Come on.
It's because I asked Ed. I did Ed Lucas. I interviewed him. He was guessing most of them. He was getting them right, but he thought they were hard. I should have given you his questions. He had quite hard ones.
What were his questions? What kind of questions was he getting?
I asked him how many? What was the highest amount of rebounds Wilt got in a game? And I gave him options, obviously. I asked him.
Yeah, that's like mid to high 20s, right?
Rebounds, the most he's ever got. I think it's like 50.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, for real? I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, so it's quite hard. Right, cool. This question, I think you should get this right. Oh, this is number 6, the bonus question. But I'll come back to the one before that I need to give you for the Atlanta Hawks one.
I already did the bonus question. Hakeem.
Huh?
You said who was MVP?
No. This is the bonus. Last question was 5 points.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is meant to be the hard one, but I think for the way you're talking, it might be quite easy for you. Okay, in 1 minute, You will name me all the winners of the NBA Finals since 2010 in 1 minute.
Hold on. Oh, in 1 minute,
Yeah,
name
but
all the finals since 2010.
Yeah, so 2010 included up to 2020, all the finals winners.
But I have to do it in order.
Yes, please. Yes, in order.
Oh, no. You're making shit up now as you go along.
Of course, you have to do it in order.
I'm just saying, you just said name all the finals, innit?
Well, now I said in order.
All right, cool.
In order.
All right,
in order.
Cool.
From 2010, starting from now.
All right, 2010 was Lakers because that was 10 years ago. 2011, Dallas, they beat the Heat. Then Miami back to back. So that's 12-13. 14, Heat lost to San Antonio, right?
I don't know.
And then, yeah, all right, whatever. And then 15, Golden State era started. 16, Cavs came back 3-1. 17, Golden State went back to back. And then Toronto last year.
2020?
Huh?
2020.
Lakers, obviously. Yeah, 2020, my bad. Lakers, obviously.
You did that with 16 seconds left. Yeah, you get the 5 bonus points. No, well done. You clean that. You clean me up still.
Yeah, bro. Come on, fam.
But we're going to go back to that question. Who was the first 8th seeded team to reach the NBA Finals? I'm going to give options. Orlando Magic, New Jersey Nets, the Lakers, or the New York Knicks? Say again.
First 8 seeded team.
Oh, yeah. The first 8 seeded team.
What was the options?
Orlando Magic, New Jersey Nets, LA Lakers, or the New York Knicks?
I couldn't even tell you, bro. To make the finals.
Yeah, to make the finals. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yep.
What are them again?
Orlando Magic, New Jersey Nets, LA Lakers, or New York Knicks?
The Knicks.
Say that again.
The Knicks.
Final answer?
Yeah.
This guy's so lucky, bro. I swear.
All right.
Yeah, the New York Knicks is correct. It's correct. New York Knicks. You get that point. For a bonus point, tell me the year they got to the finals. That year, what year was it? That they were the first 8th seeded team to reach it.
I can give you the region because I think I know what team it was. Because I think I know guys who were on the team.
Give me the team, I'll give you the bonus for that as well. Who they faced in the finals.
So it was like, I don't know who they faced in the finals, but I want to say I know who was on the team though, because that's why I remember it. That's why I actually didn't guess it. Like I actually thought.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I was trying to remember if they knew. It was like Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, them man, Charles Spurwell, all of them lot. Yeah, Charlie Ward, like all them man. So like, I'm trying to work out if it was 98 or 99, because I don't think it was 2000 yet. Because I was about 12. I remember watching basketball back then. But I was about 12, so yeah, let's just say 99 then, I guess. Because 2000, I would have been 12.
This guy is cleaning me out. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they faced it.
Yeah, I knew it was right before. Okay, I knew it was right before the finals. All right, I mean finals right before the 2000. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah. Patrick Ewing got injured in game 2, so
okay, yeah,
we lost that. But Well done. I mean, you've cleaned me out there with that one.
Yeah,
Still,
no, I
let
know
me.
basketball, bruv.
No, I can't. I'm after. You got. Let me check. You got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. You got 13 out of 15. No one will get that.
This is
The
hoop.
average was like
This is
4,
hoop, man.
3. Hey,
This is hoop, man. This is hoop. I've been doing this for a long time.
I respect it. Well, people they
So
don't
I
watch
think,
this.
I think, I think, I think that's what's done it because I'm a little bit older in it, so I might have watched more basketball. Yeah, I mean, like if you ask Ed some of these questions, he's like 2010, bro. I've just started playing basketball.
Yeah. Obviously, I took that into account, did it? I knew you know like more
Yeah,
because of the era. But even like people that I interviewed footballers as well, them man was struggling with their own teams. That's why I asked you what team you supported before. I'm gonna test you on the team.
okay, yeah.
But well done. That's quality. 10 out of 15. And just to round up listeners' questions, now I've got a few because they want to hear what you got to
Yeah,
say.
no problem.
Now, one question that was quite a specific question. He said, "How crucial was Jimmy Rogers to your development and also to the development of basketball in London?"
Me personally, huge, obviously. I think more so not necessarily the development of me as a basketball player, but just as a person. He definitely kind of molded guys to have the right demeanor, have the right mindset. Um, Obviously, somebody that cared about the community very much so, and I think it very much is evident in terms of how his players kind of turned out. One thing being a junior coach you have to do is imprint, I guess, the right DNA for guys to proceed, not necessarily just develop talent, but like obviously guys were leaving at different ages and young age. Like I said, Luau left at like 14, I left at 16. Obviously guys that left at 17, 18, but you could still see progression in people's games after we left. And I think that's more so to do with the mindset of what he taught us. Like it wasn't solely about basketball, it was more about determination and striving to play through adversity and when things ain't going your right or going your way, obviously being able to push through and I think that's kind of the stuff that he brought. Jimmy, and I can't ever leave out Kasim Jabbar. He was one of the coaches that was at Brixton that doesn't ever get enough credit for what he did in terms of developing guys and developing players because Jimmy obviously was the face of the program, but it was them two together. Jabbar definitely held a lot of our training sessions and stuff like that growing up and was able to obviously make us the people that we were or the players that we were able to become through those two guys. And I think he was just outspoken, loud, and he didn't care, I guess. It sounds bad when you say the white man or whatever, but like he didn't care what obviously society viewed him as. And that's why I think it was big for British basketball because he was always proud that he was able to have guys from obviously inner city, urban communities go out and be the forefront. Like I remember in 2010 or 2011, literally there was like 6 or 7 guys on a 18-man GB roster. So like literally more than a third of the team was from Brixton, and that was something he was very, very proud of. Yeah, very proud of. And just being able to show that sometimes it didn't matter where you came from if you done things the right way and you tackled things at the right in the right manner. And when I say the right manner, I mean obviously using those kind of attributes: hard work, determination, wanting to be obviously the best of your age group or in your city and your country, that you was able to kind of get things done.
Cool. Interesting, man. Big up to Jimmy and Kasim. Was it Kasim?
For sure. Kasim Jabbar, yeah, known as Jabbar, yeah.
Big up Jabbar. Who are the most talented players you have played with or played against? So both.
Obviously Luau, obviously ended up being a 2-time, obviously All-Star. Obviously in college I played with Isaiah Thomas, same, also being a 2-time NBA All-Star. And then if you want to talk about people that have gone on to do things and stuff like that, James Harden, played against him obviously in college.
Sick.
Yeah, Clay Thompson was in my league as well. Obviously some of the guys we named earlier, Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook.
Crazy.
Yeah, OJ Mayo was an animal. Like he was the number one player in high school, and stuff like that. So obviously these are NBA guys that have gone on to obviously be great, talented players. But like at the point that I played them at, Michael Beasley was an animal. I was talking to somebody about this recently. But Michael Beasley, like we played against each other. We was in the same league at prep school my senior year. So, but in terms of like as a 18-year-old playing against another 18-year-old, like he was an animal. Like he was a beast. Yeah, OJ Mayo. I also played with Tyreek Evans actually in AAU. Yeah, so he's another teammate I've had. But yeah, OJ Mayo was a beast. I played against him. Derrick Rose and Eric Gordon played against them. They were on the same AAU team. I was the number one point guard and the number one shooting guard in the country at the time. So yeah, I guess that's a decent list.
Decent way. So we'll start.
Yeah.
But just adding on to that, when you were playing against them or playing with them, could you see that these were going to elevate to the level that they are at now? Or was it like they just kicked on when they got into the league?
Like I'm not saying that they weren't talented. Obviously, everybody's talented. Obviously, I believe myself to compete and whatever at these levels because I'm not saying it like these guys went and like say like Michael Beasley, like when I say he was an animal or whatever, he gave me like 30, but I still had 25. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like I don't think I could have played, but it's like when you get to the point of being in the NBA, like the level of consistency in terms of training that you're getting, weight room and all of that stuff all adds up into the same picture. And I think you're able to take off and make it to be obviously the levels that they make it to. And I think that the talent level is, I'm not saying there's not obviously the elites where you have like say the LeBron Jameses and the whatever it may be. But I'm saying like when you're on a certain par level or a certain level where you're fringe players or you're doing X, Y, and Z, as I said, it takes one person to like you.
Yeah.
I think that if you're put in that situation, obviously your game is naturally going to get better. You're going to become more athletic. You're going to become stronger. You're going to have more obviously basketball smarts, IQ and stuff like that because you're obviously playing at that speed and that level. But I think that it's so minute and it's just a difference, like I said, in terms of somebody liking you or disliking you, and giving you that opportunity because once you're in that environment, I don't see how you can't get better.
100%. And it's like you felt you could definitely match to what they gave you. Like you said, Michael Beasley gave you 30, you gave 25. And it's not like you were out of place playing with them or against them.
Yeah, especially that's why I say so it's a tough question sometimes when you ask like who's the best player you played with or played against or whatever it may be because you see them at different points in their career. Like
Great point, yeah.
I could have a conversation with you about going up against James Harden in college, but it's not the same James Harden that is, you know what I mean, MVP of the NBA right now. So it's like you can say maybe the best, the level of where they're at the time that you played them, which is like when I say probably might be or KD even. He's another person, like he was always an animal. Like what people don't understand is his frame is his frame. So his frame has been the same since he was 17 years old. Obviously, he's put on some weight. Obviously, you're playing against men, so you're going to put on some weight. But his frame has always been, I'm slim. But his game's been the same. Like he's been a lights out shooter since he was in high school. So like he was 6'9" as a sophomore or something. Like obviously now he's doing that shit at like 7 foot. But like he was always big for his position. Like he was always a big three. You know what I mean? So things like that. So like it changes. I think it's two questions that need to be asked sometimes. Like have you like the best player that you played against at that time? Like if you played against any other 18-year-old, who was the person you was like, yo, fam, that dude is unstoppable? Because
Yeah.
like I could say Mike Beasley, but then you'd be like, oh, he's not even in the NBA no more. He's not this. He wasn't an all-star. He wasn't, you know what I mean? But talent-wise, at an 18-year-old, like he was easily one of the best in the country. Like, and then, like I said, it goes kind of vice versa. Like you could also be like, who have you played and who have you played that has become, you know what I mean, greatness.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's somebody like James or Russ. Like they wasn't. I'm not saying they wasn't talented because at the end of the day, both of them, I think both of them were number 4 picks. But obviously their talent was there when I played them. But you didn't necessarily think it would equate to being all right. You know what? This dude has the potential of being top 50 all time ever to play the game. Like you don't see it or you don't necessarily know.
Yeah. Interesting. Who do you model your game on, or who did you try to model your game on when you was growing up? Even now.
It's a bit different. It's a bit of a weird one because I was a bit of both. My favorite player growing up was Allen Iverson. Obviously, I'm not saying I modeled my game after him. Yeah, like he was more of an inspiration to me than Jordan was.
Really?
Yeah, like anybody that knew me, like as a kid, like 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, like I had like AI jerseys and um, stuff like that. Like growing up, Sixers jerseys and like all of that sort of stuff. As I said, I was always playing up age groups. So I was always a guard growing up. It was only when I got closer to the age groups I was playing in. So like imagine as an 11-year-old playing under 16s, you're not going to be a big man, you're going to be a guard. You know what I mean? And it was only until I got till 14, 15, 16, I was the taller one on the team. And then they tried to put me in the post a little bit or whatever it may be. And it was always the same. Like, obviously, again, playing under 18s at 14, 15 years old, again, I'm a small guy, so I was on the perimeter. And that's why I kind of constituted to when I got to the States, I was playing on the perimeter. You remember I said earlier that I was playing the 3 and stuff in high school and prep school. But that was because I had guard skills because was always, say, younger and so smaller in terms of physicality and in height. To the guys that was playing around, so my skill set was more predicated around that. I love to watch T-Mac, like he was an animal. Yeah, obviously once he finally got up out of Orlando and was in Houston and stuff, obviously some of the stuff that he was doing was crazy. So that was one of my favorite players as well growing up. But then as I got to the States and got to the States, but got to college and started doing more inside stuff, I looked a lot at Amari Stoudemire, Kevin Garnett, you know, those guys that were kind of like 4 guys that could stretch the floor some and do all of that. So yeah, that's what it was. Now I'm older, so I don't really kind of try to base my game off of anybody else. I kind of know what I can do and can't do, and yeah, I mean, I kind of just play the game that I know to play now.
Nice. What's your ultimate starting 5?
We had this conversation. I would go LeBron at the 1.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Oh, of course. Because of what I'm saying.
Yeah, Jordan. I'm just deciding if I want to go how big I want to go at the 3. I'd have KD at the 4 and or KD at the 3 or whatever, but obviously he's a big 4. But just I'd play 4 at 1 in pretty much. But LeBron, Jordan, probably have to go Kobe. It's just tough having Kobe and Jordan in the same team. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I remember
like obviously KD can play without the ball. Yeah.
Stephen A was saying that there's no point in having both. You only need one.
Yeah, that's what you only need one. So like obviously LeBron can pass with the best that's ever played the game. So LeBron is my point. Jordan at the 2. I don't know. I don't want at the 3 at the top of my head, but KD at the 4 and Shaq at the 5.
Okay.
I'd have to work out who the other wing is.
So,
I'd have to work. Oh, you have to have Shaq at the 5. He's the most dominant center of all time. Easy.
Kareem,
Prime
no?
Shaq? No, 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 no. You ain't seeing Prime Shaq, bro. Prime Shaq was an animal, bro.
But no Magic.
See, that's where it gets political because it's like, do you want to put Magic in at the 1 and then just move LeBron to the 3, which you could do.
Yeah,
But then it's like the only reason why I wouldn't put Steph in there is because he don't play no damn defense.
that's true. Shoot lights out though.
But I could have. That's what I'm saying. So you could have, Steph at the 1 and then Jordan, LeBron, or even have LeBron at the 1 because Steph loves to be off the ball anyway. Steph at the 2, Jordan at 3. KD and Shaq. But yeah, KD and Shaq. Shaq's locked in. LeBron's locked in for me. Obviously Jordan's locked in. So it's just that where I want to play LeBron and who I'm playing with.
Cool. And I have to ask you this question: Jordan or LeBron? What side?
LeBron.
Yes,
LeBron.
my guy.
I'm team LeBron.
Shout out to my friends.
Like I just think, yeah, why you got some people on your case about it.
Yeah, some I ain't gonna name them names, but they know who they are. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. Nah, it's just overall, man, like forget the numbers in terms of like points, rebounds, assists, but just the way he plays the game's the right way, obviously. But he's like he is a creative player. Like you go on 2K or NBA Live back in the day and you make a creative player, you make LeBron. Like you make LeBron. Like you want somebody that can post ups and drive, can obviously now shoot. I'm not saying he's Steph shooting, but obviously he can shoot the crazy like the level off the ball at points. But
fadeaway's peak.
Yeah, obviously create for others. He orchestrates like nobody orchestrates like him. You must have seen it, but like, if you heard Iman Shumpert talking about him orchestrating offenses and stuff like that,
Cleveland.
like while the game's going on, yeah,
I've seen that.
When they was at Cleveland, like while the game's going on, like yo, do this and do that, and while this is going on, like he's playing basketball while he's saying all of this stuff, and it's like, no disrespect to him, but that wasn't Jordan. Like he was a killer. Like if you're saying who's the, the one player, the best that ever, be sniper, like who you want on your squad to, X, Y, and Z, like, yeah, that's Jordan. But in terms of basketball player, most talented, like, yeah, I think Jordan's probably the best winner that ever played the game, but basketball player has to go to LeBron.
I hear that. Last one. I like to hear that. Okay. This is a good question. Would you rather take the game-winning shot, or are you kicking it out to the open man?
I'm taking the game-winning shot, bro.
You're taking it?
I'm taking the game-winning shot. Yeah, I'm taking it.
But I'll keep this. But your guy LeBron, he ain't about that.
He is, but the only thing you're talking about me now. There's two different things. Like there's playing the game the right way, and there's like, yo, like I don't know, like it's a tough situation. And if you're talking about me on the court, like I probably would take the game with a shot. But the reason is like I've been obviously I'm not saying LeBron isn't, but I've been obviously the main guy on most of the teams that I've been with. So it's like I can live and die with me like myself taking a shot. But if I kick somebody else and they miss, I'd be like, you had an opportunity to ice the game, win the game, whatever it may be. And if I am a main person and a main player, I would rather the insults or the whatever it is come down on me. It's happened to me before where I've won a game before, where I've lost a game before. I remember a couple of years ago when I was with, what's his name? We had a bad game. And I think it was to tie it. It was just to tie it, but I did play wasn't even for me necessarily, but I was an option, and it came to me, and I did a great move, and the ball rolled off the rim. And obviously, like to me, I was like, I put my hand up at the end of the game. I was like, yo, it's a shot I usually make. I apologize. Like, what happened again? This and the rest. Like, rather than kicking it out to someone else who doesn't, if that makes sense. It doesn't. He's not used to that pressure or not used to that situation or whatever it may be. But saying that, like, as long as opportunities there, it just depends on the flow of the game and everything. Like, look at the trophy finals. it was me that kicked it to Ed for the game, the shot that tied it.
Yeah.
And that was, I could have forced up a bad three, but I kind of read the defense and saw that the double team was, and Justin was like a little helped over. He hates whenever I say his name about this, but he was a little extra helped over, and I kicked it to him. And obviously Ed was wide open. He had to sprint down to kind of close out Ed because you have to with Ed. And obviously he pump faked him and stepped in and hit a wide open three, but that's another player who's kind of like me in that realm. Like if I had shot it, he'd have been like, Matt, I was open, wherever some guys would have been like, oh, Matt just missed. Whereas, you know what I mean? So like he's used to obviously that pressure and that kind of situation. I think it matters who you're passing to as well, obviously.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's chalk and cheese. If you pass it and they score, it's a great basketball play. If you pass it and miss, you choked.
They're gonna get mad. Yeah, you choked. Yeah, simple as.
Okay, cool. Another question is, would you rather retire for a season or play but you don't score in that whole season? So you're dropping 0.0 rebounds, 0.
I might as well retire. You ain't getting a job after you drop 0-0-0. At least if you retire for a year, they will be like, oh, he still got it. He just, just needed to take a year out. If you getting 0-0-0 across the board, boy, you might as well retire after that.
Cool. Okay. Would you rather be a great player but with a trashed legacy? So you've done everything. You've won the NBA Finals MVP, but your legacy's trashed. You're like R. Kelly, basically. Or
Jesus.
Or you're a good player, but few remember you. You're like, I don't know. You're not remembered. You're like Steve Kerr, made big shots. Good player, but it's like, oh, Steve Kerr played for us. Damn.
Like what? That's a tough question to ask. Like what would tarnish your legacy that bad that
you're remembered for what you did? So like you were sick, you were very good, but it's like, oh, but he did that though. Like R. Kelly's a good artist, but he did what he done in it. You just can't. But
I don't know. That's tough.
We'll just be a
if you're that great of a player, if you're that great a player,
yeah,
I think it outweighs certain negative things. And the only reason I say that is obviously you're using R. Kelly as a
that's a mad example.
as a mad example. Obviously, like kids and I mean, pedophilia and all that stuff is mad. So obviously it's tough to compare to that. But I'm just trying to think of like,
okay, how about O.J. Simpson? That's a good
because like look at Jordan. Like this is why I say look at Jordan. Obviously, it's not bad, but if he wasn't who he was, he would have been pulled up more about his gambling issues and stuff like this and rare. But because there's a difference between, because like if you're talking about great in terms of the best that ever played the game, like I don't think people will remember. Like not saying they won't remember, but your legacy won't be
tarnished.
Stuff that you did off the court. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it won't be tarnished, but it won't be stuff that you did off the court. Like, there's a difference between, like, nobody says R. Kelly is the best ever by hands down, like, no argument, best ever R&B artist ever.
He was up
there. It's because he was up there, but I'm saying because he was one of a few, like, there was options, if you know what I mean. So you'd be like, oh, yeah, we're not going with him because R. Kelly did X, Y, Z. But then you say that, and then you talk about people's whatever, like, kids nowadays probably don't know R. Kelly was all this other stuff. Like, they just know him as an artist.
That's true.
With time, everything changes. With time, everything fades. And that's what people don't realize. Like, what's hot today will be will be forgotten about tomorrow.
So which one you taking?
Yeah, if it means I'm going down as the greatest, I got to take it the greatest. Yeah.
So you'd rather be R. Kelly than Steve Kerr? Okay, that makes sense.
So chill, relax, man. Don't put them words in my mouth. This might go viral and that. Look at this guy.
I'm joking. No, I hear what you're saying. I asked the toughest. They said there's no such thing as bad publicity. In that sense.
Yeah, there is. There is. Sense, yeah, but there's such thing as bad. Trust me.
Cool. What traits are needed to become a pro baller? So give me to inspire the next generation of ballers. What do they need to get the pro? Or even to get to
yeah, whatever it may be. I think obviously the basics, hard work, right? Mental ethic in terms of like putting in more hours than anybody else. People don't realize, like, I know it's very much said even from, say, myself to flipping NBA players to the stars, like, the more hours you put in, the more results you'll see. And, like, when you're obviously working, or when you're sleeping, somebody's working on their craft. So obviously that's like the basics, plain and simple. But I think just having the right attitude in terms of never letting anybody tell you no. Like, so many people, regardless of what people may have thought of me or may have envisioned for me from a young age, like so many people thought I wasn't going to be this or I wasn't going to be that. Like, I was having a conversation with somebody. If they listen, they'll know who they are. But I was having a conversation with somebody, say, people talking about when I was coming out of school. Like, I legit had obviously however many NBA workouts, and I heard people that was back in the UK, like, oh yeah, when he's done, he's just gonna and not even talking about when I'm done with college, like, oh yeah, he's just gonna come back and be a regular BBL player and this and the rest, not play overseas, not do any of that. So it's like you've got to just kind of have thick skin. There's positive criticism and there's criticism that's like unnecessary and just hate. And you've got to kind of be able to learn to differentiate what both is. So, like, sometimes some people, what might come across or might seem to you as criticism in a negative light, maybe because they're trying to help you out or actually give you sound advice, but other things I hate, and it's just about trying to differentiate which is which, and obviously sticking to the grind and what got you there.
Cool. And just a couple more questions. You probably answered this before, but just to like touch on it, who's the most influential coach in your life, and what was the best advice that he gave to you?
I can't say, like, obviously Jimmy was up there. Obviously, my high school coach, Coach Chills, Coach Rafael Chilias, and even my college coach, Coach Lorenzo Roma. I can't say I can remember anything specific each one of them said to me, but those are definitely my top three. Obviously, influences when it comes to the game. But I would just say that obviously Jimmy taught me about the work ethic and dedication to the game from a young age, and the discipline to be able to make it or to get to obviously the levels that I got to. Coach Chills was a person that taught me about patience. Obviously going to the States at 16 and playing in prep school, and I knew I was going to be there for 3 years. Like, he was the one that taught me that time is of the essence, but you've got to wait your turn sometimes, like, to be in the right situation for you, but always staying ready, and being able to overcome things that aren't going your way. And then Coach Roma is kind of similar to the same thing. As I said, like, things might go my right way and UW, but he kind of stayed on me and worked with me regardless of things, I guess, not having a great impact on the team, I guess, in terms of wins and play minutes played and stuff like that. But it's another thing where it's like he taught me about staying ready, because he was like, your number will get called. It's just about when it does, like, you being able to go out there and perform. So, like, him just being able to, I guess, stay in my ear, stay positive, and I think the mixture of all three of them is what has been able to keep me, I guess, having a 10-year career so far, and being able to kind of get through, like I said, the politics when it comes to NBA Summer League or professional basketball or anything like that. Because other guys would, like, I've seen literally guys lose their head and be like, if this, if I ain't playing, I'm out, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or whatever it may be. So I think, just a mixture between those three.
Cool, man. That's great. And is there any regrets in your life, or what would you change in your journey if you could change a part of it so far?
I wouldn't say I would change anything. If I could do something different, maybe if I went to a different school, I think I could have potentially got drafted.
Doing prep
Either
school?
got drafted or no, college. Just in terms of opportunity and playing style and whatever it may be, and exposure sometimes, because even though the Pac-10 was loaded, West Coast kind of gets a knock compared to East Coast basketball. So the Big East ACC was getting more, obviously, ESPN games and TV coverage. And with the time difference, like our games at 7 o'clock is 10 p.m. at night over on the East Coast. So it's not, you don't get as much, I guess, exposure. And maybe not having to spend 4 years, I think, if I was able to showcase what I could do earlier in my college career. Because what people don't realize is, like, regardless if you spend 1 year or 4 years, like, to the fan, it's just like he got drafted. Whereas the NBA, it's like, yeah, we've lost 3 years of working with him. Like, if you come in as a freshman and potential, like, you graduate in at 22, 23, like, they look at you as old. Like, you need to come into the NBA and produce right away. Whereas if you're 19 or 20, like, they'll work with you for the next 2 years to get some return on their investment. So maybe that. Timing, obviously, it wasn't planned, but having a son, obviously, I love him to death and everything is, but timing wise, it wasn't the right time for me to have a child, and with my career and everything, how everything was going, or obviously in hindsight, not knowing I wasn't going to get drafted, and now obviously I decided to obviously come back to Europe to make sure I could provide for him and my family, whereas I could have say did the D League, or obviously it's the G League now. Obviously it was horrible money, but you stay relevant and you're close to the NBA and they get to see you, so you could potentially have made the NBA in that type of manner and stuff like that. Those are the only two things I would say, I guess. I wish could have panned out different.
Yeah, cool. And final question: what's next for Matthew Bryan-Amaning? What should we expect to see? What's the plan?
I'm about to sign for another team in the BBL. I don't know when this will get released, but by the time it does get released, obviously it would have been official. That's for the rest of this season. So obviously you'll be able to see my face around the UK and playing, obviously.
Yeah, the games, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully soon enough. It'll be at the games, not just online. And then, for me, I'm just, working on a few things behind the scenes, off the court. Obviously, some different. Obviously, I think the best thing for the kids nowadays are having people like myself or Justin or Ed or whoever it is talking and on these things and talking about things like. Yeah. We didn't see a lot of this when we were young, so like learning about multiple streams of income and things that you can do to obviously benefit, so you can be comfortable and play sports, I guess, whether it be basketball or whatever. If it's not the best ideal financially, but you can still do it because you love it, because you're making other streams of income. So I've got a few ventures that a couple that I'm looking into and I'm talking about with some people, and then I've got some property stuff that I'm doing myself here anyway in the UK. So just trying to, make sure that I have other streams of income. So if I decide that I don't necessarily want to go back to playing overseas for my last few years or whatever it is, and I want to be here and play in the UK, that I'm comfortable doing so.
Cool. Wow. This was a power-packed full podcast. Really, now, Matthew,
you got a lot done.
Thank you so much for coming.
What was this, 3 hours?
Huh? Something like that. I enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well.
No, that's all good. Always
big
good
thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, man. Just like respect. I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. Keep playing ball, and thank you for the info. Thank you for your wise words, sharing your journey, because not many people will know like what you've had to do, what you've been through, what you've experienced. So it's really good to hear that, and just all the best, man. And stay blessed, stay safe, stay healthy in this time.